Welcome to our journey through history as we explore the fascinating story of the Babylonian Empire and its connections to the Anunnaki, a group of powerful deities in ancient Mesopotamian mythology. The Babylonian Empire was one of the greatest civilizations of the ancient world, known for its monumental architecture, scientific achievements, and influential legal code. But before we delve into the incredible accomplishments of this empire, let's start by exploring the Anunnaki's role in shaping the religious and cultural landscape of ancient Mesopotamia. Hello and welcome to Life's Biggest Questions. Now that's been said, let's continue. The Anunnaki were a group of gods and goddesses worshipped by the various cultures of ancient Mesopotamia, including the Sumerians, Akkadians, and Babylonians. As a descendant of the Akkadians, the Babylonians inherited many aspects of their predecessors' religious beliefs, including the veneration of the Anunnaki. These deities played a significant role in the lives of the Babylonians, who believed that the gods controlled the forces of nature and the fate of humanity. The Anunnaki were invoked in prayers, rituals, and religious texts, and their stories were passed down through generations in the form of myths and legends. And now, with the foundation of the Anunnaki's influence in mind, let's explore the rise, achievements, and eventual fall of the Babylonian Empire. The rise of the Babylonian Empire can be traced back to the early 2nd millennium BCE, during a time of great political upheaval in Mesopotamia. The region was divided into several city-states, each ruled by its own king, and conflicts between these city-states were common. It was in this turbulent environment that the Babylonian Empire began to take shape. The city of Babylon itself was founded around 1894 BCE by the Amorite king Sumu-Abum. However, it was under the rule of Hammurabi, reigned 1792 to 1750 BCE, the 6th king of the first Babylonian dynasty, that the empire truly began to emerge as a major power in the region. Hammurabi was an ambitious ruler who sought to expand his kingdom's influence and territory. Through a combination of diplomatic alliances, strategic marriages, and military conquests, he managed to bring the majority of Mesopotamia under Babylonian control. One of Hammurabi's most notable military achievements was the conquest of the rival city-state of Larsa, which gave him control over the economically important trade routes along the Euphrates River. He also conquered other neighboring city-states such as Eshnunna, Mari, and Elam, further expanding his empire's reach. During his reign, Hammurabi not only focused on military expansion but also on the internal development and administration of his kingdom. He implemented a series of reforms aimed at improving the lives of his subjects, such as the construction of irrigation canals to enhance agricultural production and the establishment of a centralized bureaucracy to govern the empire more efficiently. Hammurabi is perhaps best known for his legal code, the Code of Hammurabi, which was a comprehensive set of laws covering various aspects of daily life, such as trade, property rights, and family law. This code, inscribed on a stone stele, is considered one of the earliest and most complete legal codes in human history and provides a valuable insight into the society, values, and governance of the Babylonian Empire. After Hammurabi's death, his successors continued to expand and consolidate the empire's power, even as it faced various challenges from both internal and external forces. Over the centuries, the Babylonian Empire would experience periods of decline and resurgence, marked by the rise and fall of different dynasties and rulers. The Babylonian Empire, which thrived during the 2nd and 1st millennia BCE, left a significant legacy through its numerous achievements. These accomplishments spanned various fields, including architecture, science, mathematics, literature, and law. Here are some of the most notable Babylonian achievements. Architecture. Babylon was known for its grandiose architecture, including the city walls, the Ishtar Gate, the Etemenanki, a massive ziggurat temple, and the fabled Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The Hanging Gardens, considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, were a series of terraces filled with exotic plants and trees, supported by complex irrigation systems. Babylonian astronomers made substantial advancements in the field of astronomy. They meticulously observed and documented celestial phenomena, leading to the development of the first known system for predicting the future positions of planets. The Babylonians also created the lunar calendar, which divided the year into 12 months based on the cycles of the moon. Mathematics. The Babylonians pioneered the base 60 numeral system, which is still used today in our measurements of time, minutes and seconds, and angles, degrees, minutes and seconds. This advanced mathematical system allowed the Babylonians to perform complex calculations required for engineering projects, solve various practical problems, and even calculate the square root and cube root of numbers. The Babylonians used the cuneiform script, a system of writing that used wedge-shaped marks made on clay tablets. They made significant contributions to literature, producing works such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the world's oldest known works of literature. Babylonian scribes also created extensive libraries, which housed vast collections of religious, historical, and scientific texts. The Code of Hammurabi. Under the rule of King Hammurabi, the Babylonians established one of the earliest known legal codes. The Code of Hammurabi, inscribed on a large stone stele, covered a wide range of civil and criminal matters. It provided a detailed account of the social structure, values, and legal rights of the people living in the Babylonian Empire. Medicine. Babylonian physicians were skilled in diagnosing and treating various ailments. They used a combination of empirical observations, medical texts, and incantations to treat their patients. While their understanding of the human body was limited by today's standards, the Babylonians made significant contributions to the development of medical knowledge. The Babylonian Empire was a center of trade and commerce in the ancient world, benefiting from its strategic location along the Euphrates River. Babylonian merchants traded with other civilizations in the region, exchanging goods such as textiles, grains, metals, and spices. These achievements showcase the ingenuity and creativity of the Babylonian people, who left a lasting impact on the fields of science, art, and culture. The legacy of the Babylonian Empire continues to influence our modern world, as we build upon the foundations laid by this ancient civilization. The decline and fall of the Babylonian Empire were a result of a combination of internal and external factors that weakened the empire over time, ultimately leading to its collapse. After the death of Nebuchadnezzar II in 562 BCE, the Babylonian Empire experienced a period of political instability marked by a series of weak and ineffective rulers. This instability weakened the empire's ability to govern its vast territories effectively, and left it vulnerable to external threats. Economic decline. The Babylonian Empire's economy relied heavily on agriculture and trade. However, as the empire expanded, it faced challenges in maintaining its vast irrigation systems, leading to decreased agricultural productivity. Additionally, competition from other regional powers disrupted trade routes, further weakening the economy. The expansion of the Babylonian Empire brought with it the incorporation of diverse ethnic groups and cultures. As the empire declined, tensions between these groups began to rise, leading to social unrest and weakening the unity of the empire. Rise of the Persians. The rise of the Persian Empire under Cyrus the Great presented a significant external threat to the Babylonian Empire. The Persians were a powerful and ambitious force, and they began to expand their territories at the expense of the Babylonians. Fall of Babylon to the Persians. In 539 BCE, the Persian army led by Cyrus the Great marched on the city of Babylon. The Babylonians, weakened by internal strife and economic decline, were unable to mount a strong defense against the invading forces. The Persian army entered the city without much resistance, marking the end of the Babylonian Empire. After the conquest, Cyrus the Great incorporated the Babylonian territories into his expanding Persian Empire and treated the conquered people with relative tolerance and respect. Hellenistic period. The conquest of the Persian Empire by Alexander the Great in 331 BCE marked the beginning of the Hellenistic period in Mesopotamia. The region was subsequently absorbed into the Seleucid Empire, one of the successor states of Alexander's empire, which led to the gradual decline of Babylonian culture and influence. The rise of the Parthian and Sassanid empires further diminished the remnants of Babylonian culture in the region. These empires, which controlled Mesopotamia at different points in time, introduced new cultural, religious, and political influences that would come to dominate the region, leading to the eventual disappearance of the distinct Babylonian identity. The decline and fall of the Babylonian Empire were due to a combination of internal factors, such as political instability, economic decline, and social unrest, as well as external pressures, such as the rise of powerful neighboring empires. The fall of Babylon to the Persians marked the end of the Babylonian Empire, and subsequent conquests and cultural shifts in the region led to the gradual disappearance of Babylonian culture and influence. The Babylonians, like other Mesopotamian civilizations such as the Sumerians and Akkadians, believed in a variety of gods that included the Anunnaki. The lasting legacy of the Anunnaki and the Babylonian Empire can be seen in several aspects: mythology and religion. The Anunnaki played a central role in Mesopotamian religious beliefs, shaping the spiritual lives of the Babylonians and influencing their worldview. Many of the gods in the Babylonian pantheon, such as Marduk, Enlil, and Ea, were associated with the Anunnaki. These gods were believed to have immense power over the natural world, and their influence can still be seen in the religious and mythological texts that have survived to this day. Creation of mankind. According to ancient Mesopotamian mythology, the Anunnaki created human beings to serve as their laborers. The creation of humanity by the gods is a common theme in many ancient cultures, and the Anunnaki's role in this process has left a lasting impression on the cultural memory of the region. The mythology and religious beliefs of the Babylonian Empire, including the stories of the Anunnaki, influenced later civilizations in the region, such as the Assyrians, and even spread to other parts of the ancient world. For example, some of the stories from Mesopotamian mythology, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, have parallels in the Bible and other ancient texts. Art and architecture. The Anunnaki were often depicted in Babylonian art, including statues, reliefs, and frescoes. These artistic representations of the gods reflect the importance of the Anunnaki in Babylonian society and provide a glimpse into the religious beliefs and practices of the time. The Anunnaki have captured the imagination of modern researchers and writers, leading to various interpretations and theories about their role in human history. Some suggest that the Anunnaki were actually extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth in ancient times, while others see them as symbolic representations of natural forces or aspects of human consciousness. These modern theories, while speculative, demonstrate the enduring fascination with the Anunnaki and their potential influence on human civilization. The legacy of the Anunnaki and the Babylonian Empire can be seen in various aspects of culture, religion, art, and even modern theories about the origins of humanity. As a central element of Mesopotamian mythology, the Anunnaki continue to capture the imagination of scholars and enthusiasts alike, demonstrating the impact of ancient Babylonian beliefs and achievements on our understanding of human history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of the Babylonian Empire and its connection to the Anunnaki. When you look at the vast and timeless desert of Egypt, the word Kemet might not immediately come to mind. Yet this term, which means black land in the ancient Egyptian language, was once used to describe this area, highlighting the fertile soil along the banks of the Nile River, the lifeblood of the civilization we know today as ancient Egypt. But were the Kemites merely skilled farmers and pyramid builders, or was there more to them? Could there possibly be connections to other worldly beings? The term Kemites stems from Kemet, which translates to the Black Land in the ancient Egyptian language. This phrase illustrates the contrast between the fertile black soil of the Nile River's banks and the harsh surrounding desert, often referred to as Deshret, or the Red Land. However, the term Kemet signifies far more than a geographical landscape. It represented a civilization that was one of the most enduring and influential in human history. The people of Kemet, the Kemetes, constructed a culture that has contributed a great deal to the world in various fields such as architecture, mathematics, science, and art. The Kemites were builders of an incredible magnitude. They are known for the creation of the pyramids, grand burial structures for their pharaohs, and the Sphinx, one of the most iconic monuments worldwide. The sheer precision and scale of these constructions are an enduring testament to their engineering prowess and architectural ingenuity. They were also highly sophisticated in their administrative systems, maintaining detailed records of their pharaohs, political affairs, and religious rituals. These have been crucial in enabling us to piece together the history and societal structure of Kemet. The religion of the Kemites was intricately woven into every aspect of their daily life. They had a polytheistic belief system with a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each overseeing different aspects of life and nature. These religious beliefs not only guided their moral code, but also played a significant role in their understanding of the world, life, death, and the afterlife. In the realm of art, Kemets were masterful. Their sculptures, paintings, and pottery were not only beautiful, but also carried significant symbolic meaning. These artifacts provide a window into their values, beliefs, and everyday life, contributing to our understanding of this extraordinary civilization. The association between the Kemites and extraterrestrial theories mainly originates from their incredible achievements in construction, astronomy, and science that appear to far surpass what would have been achievable with the technology thought to be available to them. This includes, most notably, the construction of the pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx, which showcase an astounding level of precision and understanding of complex mathematics and engineering. One element of this theory focuses on the construction of the pyramids, specifically the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramid's alignment with the magnetic North Pole, the precise dimensions and ratios correlating with complex mathematics and astronomical phenomena, and the extraordinary undertaking of constructing such a monument with huge stones, all have led some to question whether the Kemites had help from technologically advanced extraterrestrial beings. Moreover, the precise alignment of the pyramids of Giza with the stars in the belt of Orion has also been used as evidence for this theory. This alignment, along with various other astronomical alignments found in their architecture and art, suggests a deep understanding of the cosmos that seems uncannily advanced for the time. Another aspect of Kemet's civilization that feeds into this theory is their mythology and religious beliefs. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs and artwork are full of references to sky gods, powerful beings who descended from the stars, and strange objects seen in the sky. Proponents of the ancient astronaut theory suggest that these are not myths or symbols, but literal depictions of extraterrestrial visitors. It's worth noting, however, that these theories often come under scrutiny. Many scholars argue that these theories underestimate the ingenuity, intelligence, and skills of ancient human civilizations. They point out that with an understanding of simple machines, human labor, and time, the Kemites could have achieved these remarkable constructions on their own. Whether or not the Kemites had extraterrestrial help is a matter of personal belief. What is undeniable is the awe-inspiring and influential legacy that Kemet civilization has left behind. Now, diving into the advanced knowledge of the Kemites. Now, this is where things get really interesting. The civilization of Kemet was notably advanced for its time, with numerous achievements in various fields such as astronomy, mathematics, architecture, and medicine. Firstly, the Kemites were skilled astronomers. Their understanding of celestial bodies was so profound that they were able to develop a calendar that is almost as accurate as the one we use today. Based on the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, they formulated a 365-day calendar divided into 12 months. This marked a significant leap in the understanding of timekeeping. Moreover, they developed complex mathematical concepts, including fractions and geometric principles, which allowed them to create stunning architectural masterpieces such as the pyramids. They understood principles of engineering, physics, and geometry that wouldn't be rediscovered until thousands of years later. In the field of medicine, Kemites demonstrated advanced knowledge too. Papyrus scripts reveal they had knowledge of human anatomy, surgical procedures, and even remedies for various ailments. Their medical practices were so developed that some even argue they carried out complex procedures like brain surgery. The complexity of these achievements has led some to speculate about a possible extraterrestrial influence. Could such a civilization have gained such advanced knowledge on their own, or was there external help involved? Theories propose that the Kemites could have had contact with an alien civilization that shared their knowledge with them, sparking the rapid development of their society. But of course, this is all conjecture, and the debate continues. Now let's plunge headfirst into one of the most enduring mysteries of the Kemites, the pyramids. The pyramids of Egypt, built by the Kemites, are one of the most recognizable and enigmatic structures of the ancient world. The most famous of them, the Great Pyramid of Giza, is a marvel of engineering and precision that even modern technology struggles to replicate. This Great Pyramid is estimated to consist of over 2.3 million blocks of stone, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons, and some even up to 15 tons. The precision of its construction is staggering. Its base is level to within just 2.1 centimeters, and the sides are oriented to the cardinal directions within 3 arc minutes. The construction methodology behind such a mammoth task is an enduring mystery. Several theories have been proposed about how these structures were built, from simple manual labor to complex machines, and even supernatural or alien assistance. One of the most prevalent theories is that the Kemites constructed a spiraling ramp to haul the massive stones to the required heights. However, the sheer logistics of such a venture in terms of workforce, resources, and time make this theory a subject of debate. More fringe theories have posited that the Kemites had access to advanced technology, perhaps even extraterrestrial. These theories often point to the precision and alignment of the pyramids with celestial bodies, a task that would seemingly require a more advanced understanding of mathematics and astronomy than was available at the time. One of the most fascinating elements of Kemet's rich culture is its art. This isn't simply due to its aesthetic appeal, but more intriguingly, the narratives and depictions that the art encompasses. The Kemetic art includes a wide range of expressive forms, from sculpture and architecture to relief and pottery, and of course the remarkable hieroglyphic writing system. Looking closer at the artwork, some researchers and theorists have pointed out representations that could potentially denote alien encounters. This is a contentious interpretation and is not universally accepted by historians or Egyptologists, but it certainly makes for a compelling discussion. Among the most cited pieces are the relief depictions found in the Temple of Seti, once in Abydos. This particular relief has stirred controversy as it seems to show objects resembling modern-day helicopters, submarines, and even spaceships. How could this be, given that these technologies wouldn't exist for thousands of years after the relief was created? Then there are the depictions of the gods themselves. Many of them, like the sky god Horus, who is represented as a man with the head of a falcon, and the god Ra, who is frequently portrayed traveling through the sky in a sunboat, are theorized by some to symbolize extraterrestrial beings. Critics argue these interpretations are merely a result of pareidolia, the human tendency to perceive meaningful patterns where none actually exist. However, proponents of the alien theory believe that these peculiarities are too significant to dismiss as coincidence. What's clear is that Kemetic art, laden with its mystical symbols and cryptic depictions, is still a fertile ground for exploration and interpretation. While the Kemetic civilization's feats of engineering, medicine, and astronomy were truly remarkable, some believe the alien connection theories are a step too far, an overly speculative leap that discounts the achievements of the ancient Kemites themselves. In this segment, we delve into the skepticism and the rational view of these theories. Firstly, it's important to acknowledge that correlation does not imply causation. Yes, there are intriguing overlaps between some ancient Egyptian depictions and what we might interpret as UFOs or alien figures today. But this doesn't necessarily mean that aliens were involved. After all, to the untrained eye, a cloud can resemble a dragon or a castle, but this doesn't make it so. Many experts and historians argue that interpreting the gods and hieroglyphs as aliens or UFOs is a form of cultural reductionism, simplifying complex, symbolic artwork into an anachronistic, literal interpretation. Egyptologists point out that hieroglyphs were highly stylized, symbolic, and sacred, often representing ideas or concepts rather than physical entities. The advanced knowledge demonstrated by the Kemites, while certainly impressive, may be more a testament to their sophisticated understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering, rather than alien intervention. Remember, the Kemites were one of the longest-lasting civilizations in human history, giving them ample time to develop and refine their knowledge. Finally, there's the issue of Occam's razor, the principle that the simplest explanation is usually the best one. In this case, the simpler explanation is that the Kemites, through hundreds of years of intellectual pursuit, achieved their advancements on their own. While the idea of ancient alien visitations is an exciting theory, it adds a layer of complexity and speculation that isn't necessarily supported by hard evidence. So were the Kemites, the people of the Black Land, the benefactors of alien knowledge? Or were they simply skilled artisans, scientists and builders who utilized their understanding of the world around them to create one of the most enduring and fascinating civilizations in human history? Like the Sphinx, the answer remains enigmatic, silently gazing out into the sands of time. But one thing's for sure, the legacy of the Kemites, whether divinely, extraterrestrially, or humanly inspired, continues to captivate us, and will likely do so for many millennia to come. Picture the grandeur of ancient Egypt, mighty pharaohs, the majestic Sphinx, and of course the awe-inspiring pyramids. Now, take a leap through time to the Roman Empire, famous for its innovative engineering and renowned military conquests. But what if I told you that these two mighty civilizations are more intertwined than you'd ever imagined? What if the pyramids, one of the ancient world's greatest wonders, held a fascinating chapter in the narrative of Roman expansion? Yes, that's right. Today we'll dive into the dramatic shift from the pharaonic era of Egypt to its time under Roman rule and unravel the influence of the Romans on Egypt's most iconic structures. To appreciate the magnitude of change that the end of the pharaohs era marked, we must first understand the incredible influence and grandeur of the ancient Egyptian civilization. Spanning over 3,000 years, the era of the pharaohs was marked by a series of ruling dynasties, each leaving its mark on the land of the Nile. From the Old Kingdom era, when the pyramids were constructed, to the Middle and New Kingdoms, when Egypt expanded its influence through military campaigns and trade, the civilization thrived, prospered, and demonstrated its resilience in the face of historical turmoil. And at the heart of it all were the pharaohs, the god-kings of Egypt, the intermediaries between the gods and the people. Through an intricate, deeply spiritual system of governance, these rulers commanded the respect and devotion of their subjects, ensuring the continuity of their civilization. However, the arrival of Alexander the Great in 332 BC marked a significant turning point. The Ptolemaic dynasty that he established was Hellenistic in nature, marking the beginning of the end of pharaonic rule. Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh, was a symbol of this fusion of Greek and Egyptian cultures. Her intelligence, charisma, and strategic alliances with Roman leaders Julius Caesar and Mark Antony made her a significant historical figure. Yet her reign was fraught with political challenges and personal tragedies. When she famously took her life in 30 BC, the age of the pharaohs effectively ended. The Egypt that Cleopatra left behind was an empire on the precipice of profound change. This period marked the end of Egypt's independence and the beginning of a new era under the control of a burgeoning empire. Rome. Now, as we move into the Roman conquest of Egypt, we find ourselves navigating a series of strategic moves and political intrigues. With the death of Cleopatra, the land of the Nile was effectively annexed by Rome and turned into a province under the control of Octavian, who would later be known as Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. But why was Egypt so attractive to the Romans? The reasons were primarily economic and strategic. Egypt was the breadbasket of the Mediterranean. Its fertile lands, nourished by the annual flooding of the Nile, yielded crops that fed the Roman populace and fueled its armies. Plus, it was a gateway to the riches of Africa and the Near East. Roman control of Egypt marked a significant shift in power dynamics, as it was the first time Egypt had been ruled by a foreign power. Yet even as the Romans wielded their influence, they couldn't ignore the deep cultural and religious roots of the Egyptians. They adopted some of the local gods, including Isis, and even the tradition of pharaohs to an extent. The Roman emperors, like the pharaohs before them, projected themselves as godlike figures, often adorning themselves in traditional Egyptian garb in statues and reliefs. Still, as they maintained this facade of cultural integration, the Romans also pursued their own interests. One such interest, intriguingly, might have been the mysterious and awe-inspiring structures dotting the Egyptian landscape, the pyramids. So what did it really mean to be Egypt under Roman rule? And while there was certainly cultural assimilation as Romans adopted Egyptian gods and traditions, Egypt also became a Roman province. This meant taxation, and Egypt was heavily taxed. The fertile Nile Delta was a treasure trove producing grain, papyrus, and precious gems, all of which found their way into Roman coffers. Yet even as the riches of Egypt fueled the Roman Empire, there were also periods of unrest. The Egyptian populace, after centuries of being ruled by god-kings, now found themselves subjects of a distant emperor and Roman bureaucrats who were more interested in wealth extraction than in the preservation of the ancient Egyptian culture. The impact of the Roman rule on the Egyptian landscape was also significant. Roman architecture began to sprout across Egypt, from the coastal city of Alexandria to the southern city of Aswan. Temples to Roman gods were constructed alongside ancient Egyptian temples, and Roman-styled villas were built alongside traditional Egyptian homes. The juxtaposition of these two distinct architectural styles showcases the collision of two powerful civilizations. In the midst of this cultural and architectural synthesis, the pyramids stood timeless. What the Romans thought of these ancient structures and how they interacted with them is a question that delves deep into the realm of speculation. A curiosity that tickles our imagination. The pyramids, timeless behemoths of stone, their grandeur a testament to a civilization's past glory. But when the Romans first laid their eyes on them, what did they think? What did they do? We know from various accounts that the Romans, like the Greeks before them, were fascinated by the pyramids. Their size, their age, their engineering, everything about them was a wonder. Some Roman writers, such as Pliny the Elder, wrote extensively about them. Pliny, in his Natural History, called them an idle and foolish exhibition of royal wealth, but his detailed descriptions betray a fascination with their complexity and longevity. But did the Romans ever venture inside? Were they, as some believe, the last people to raid the pyramids for their treasure? Archaeological evidence suggests that by the time the Romans arrived in Egypt, the pyramids had been standing for over 2,000 years. Many of them were already heavily looted, and most of the treasure was long gone. The Great Pyramid itself was sealed, and it is highly unlikely the Romans had the technology to break in without leaving evidence of their intrusion. Yet stories of Roman treasure hunters guided by ancient maps and legends seeking the secrets of the pyramids persist. Could there have been rogue Roman officials or adventurous explorers who attempted to find hidden chambers and undiscovered loot? The notion is romantic, albeit historically tenuous. In truth, the Romans probably treated the pyramids with the same curiosity and awe as we do. They were relics of a bygone era, timeless monuments that represented a civilization that was ancient even in their time. Rather than the ransacking conquerors some may envision, the Romans may have been the first tourists gazing upon the wonders of a fallen empire. The line between treasure hunter and archaeologist can be a blurry one. Did Romans ransack the pyramids in search of hidden wealth, or were they preservationists, attempting to safeguard and understand these impressive structures? Let's dive deeper. We have records of Roman emperors such as Augustus and Hadrian visiting Egypt and expressing a great interest in its antiquities. In fact, many Roman leaders funded expeditions to explore and document Egypt's monuments. They brought back a wealth of knowledge about Egyptian culture, language, and history. So it's clear the Romans held a fascination for Egypt's past, but did this translate into a respect for its physical artifacts? Unfortunately, the answer is not straightforward. While some Roman officials genuinely sought to understand and preserve Egypt's heritage, others saw the ancient monuments as resources to be exploited. For example, there's evidence of stone from the pyramids being quarried for other building projects. The situation gets even murkier when we consider the concept of treasure hunting. The phrase conjures images of rogue explorers plundering tombs and temples for gold and jewels. But in the context of the Roman period, treasure could also refer to knowledge, historical artifacts, or even mystical power. Pyramids with their ancient hidden chambers could hold untold secrets in the Roman imagination. In a strange twist of fate, the Roman obsession with Egypt might have inadvertently led to some preservation. Many Egyptian artifacts found their way to Rome, effectively being saved from the ravages of time and later, more destructive conquerors. So the Romans' relationship with the pyramids and Egypt's treasures was complicated, to say the least. A mix of reverence, curiosity, greed, and pragmatism that has left us with a wealth of questions and a rich, albeit confounding, historical legacy. The Roman period was a pivotal chapter in the long, complex story of Egypt. How the Romans interacted with the pyramids, the Sphinx, and other Egyptian antiquities has significantly shaped our understanding of these iconic structures. For one thing, Romans played a key role in the spread of Egyptomania, the fascination with all things Egyptian. This phenomenon was popular in Rome even before Egypt was annexed as a province. Statues, obelisks, and other Egyptian antiquities were transported to Rome to decorate public buildings and private villas, and the Roman aristocracy even had a fad for Egyptian-style garden ornaments. But Rome's influence went beyond simply popularizing Egyptian style. Roman engineers, architects, and scholars also studied and documented Egyptian monuments in great detail. The records they left behind have been invaluable for modern Egyptologists, providing insight into the state of these structures in antiquity. Another Roman contribution was the preservation of Egypt's built heritage, albeit indirectly. By incorporating Egypt into their empire, the Romans brought relative stability and prosperity to the region, allowing for the maintenance and repair of ancient monuments. While there were cases of Romans quarrying stone from the pyramids for their own construction projects on the whole, these monuments were largely respected and preserved during the Roman period. However, the Romans also unwittingly contributed to some destruction. The trade in Egyptian antiquities, coupled with the frequent treasure hunts, led to the loss and damage of many artifacts and structures. Overall, the Romans left an indelible mark on Egypt and its ancient heritage. Their influence is evident in everything from the physical state of the pyramids to our contemporary fascination with this civilization. The story of the Romans and the pyramids is a complex tapestry, woven from threads of curiosity, respect, exploitation, and ultimately preservation. It's a testament to the enduring allure of Egypt's past and a reminder of how our understanding of history is shaped not only by the events of antiquity, but by those who have studied it in the centuries since. Did you know that despite their rudimentary technology, some ancient civilizations seem to know things about outer space that they technically shouldn't? Now, I'm not talking about aliens or anything supernatural. I'm talking about good old-fashioned observations and maybe a dash of intuition. But how much did they really know? Let's find out. The Mayans and Venus. Now, the Mayans were not just your average stargazers. These were people who took their celestial observations to a whole new level. Imagine you have no telescope, no calculus, and no modern physics, but you're tasked with understanding the mysteries of the cosmos. What do? Well, you do what the Mayans did. You watch, you learn, and you document. The Mayans had something called the Venus tables, essentially an ancient ephemeris focused solely on Venus. Found in the Dresden Codex, one of the oldest surviving books from the Americas, this tabulation meticulously tracked Venus's apparent movements. Here's the kicker. The Venus cycle, according to the Mayans, was 584 days long, which is eerily close to the modern value of about 583.92 days. This kind of precision is baffling, considering they didn't have modern tools or knowledge of celestial mechanics. The Mayans had several calendars, but the one that aligns with Venus is particularly fascinating. Called the calendar round, it was a 52-year period during which their 260-day religious calendar and the 365-day solar calendar would align. Why 52 years? Because it's close to a common multiple of Mars's and Venus's cycles, creating a window for both planets to appear in the sky simultaneously. They linked this to various events, natural phenomena, and ceremonies, making Venus a core part of their societal framework. For the Mayans, Venus wasn't just a bright object in the sky. It had a much deeper mythological meaning. It was associated with the god Kukulkan, or Quetzalcoatl in Aztec tradition, a feathered serpent deity. Venus's appearances and disappearances were thought to symbolize this god's terrestrial and celestial journeys. Its heliacal rising, where it first becomes visible in the dawn sky, was considered an important event, often associated with warfare, disruption, and change. The big question is, how did they manage to make such precise observations? Theories range from basic tools like horizon markers and simple alignments to complex wooden structures serving as makeshift observatories. They didn't have trigonometry or calculus, but what they did have was an extraordinary ability to observe patterns over time and pass down that knowledge generationally. The Sumerians. When it comes to pioneering civilizations, the Sumerians stand tall. Nestled in the cradle of civilization, modern-day southern Iraq, the Sumerians are credited with inventing one of the first forms of writing, complex urban planning, and, get this, an understanding of the solar system that seems almost futuristic. Much like the Mayans, the Sumerians were keen observers of the night sky. However, in their clay tablets and seals, a particularly curious recurring image is found, a depiction of the solar system with specific planetary bodies, some of which would not be discovered until millennia later with the advent of the telescope. There's a significant debate about the exact interpretation of these tablets, but it's undeniably fascinating that these ancient people had such advanced astronomical insights. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence is a Sumerian seal, sometimes referred to as the Berlin Seal. On this seal, there's an image depicting what seems to be our sun at the center, surrounded by 11 other celestial bodies. Now, if you do the math, counting Earth and our moon, and then adding the 5 planets visible to the naked eye, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, you end up with 8. This means there are still 3 mysterious celestial bodies. Could they have possibly known about Uranus, Neptune, or even the dwarf planet Pluto? Skeptics argue that this might be an abstract representation, but the question remains tantalizingly open. In the Sumerian Enuma Elish, or the Epic of Creation, there's a detailed description of a cosmic battle between gods, leading to the creation of Earth and its surrounding heavens. The narrative, which seems to resonate with modern theories of planetary formation, describes heavenly bodies colliding and merging. While it's easy to dismiss this as mere mythology, some wonder if it could be a poetic record of actual celestial events or knowledge. Delving deeper into Sumerian texts, there's a mention of Nibiru. Some believe it's a yet-to-be-discovered planet that has an elongated orbit, coming close to Earth every few millennia. Mainstream scientists generally dismiss this claim. Yet, the consistent mention of Nibiru in ancient texts makes it a subject of persistent intrigue. How did the Sumerians acquire such knowledge? While it's tempting to think of extraterrestrial teachers or lost advanced technologies, it's more likely that the Sumerians, much like the Mayans, were extraordinary pattern recognizers. They observed, recorded, and hypothesized, passing down knowledge over generations. This oral and written tradition, combined with their dedication to sky gazing, may have led to their surprisingly advanced understanding of the cosmos. Stonehenge, a monument that has puzzled and fascinated humanity for centuries. Situated on England's Salisbury Plain, this prehistoric ring of massive standing stones evokes a sense of awe and wonder. But what if I told you that this iconic structure was not just a testament to ancient engineering, but also to ancient astronomy? Many of us know of the summer solstice celebrations that occur at Stonehenge, where the sun, on the longest day of the year, rises directly above the heel stone and casts a beam of light directly into the center of the monument. But the intricacies go much deeper. Stonehenge aligns not just with the summer solstice, but also the winter solstice and the equinoxes. The placement of these stones isn't haphazard. They've been meticulously arranged to mark key solar and lunar events. Beyond the more noticeable alignments with solstices, many researchers suggest that Stonehenge could function as an advanced lunar calendar. The monument's 56 Aubrey holes, named after the 17th century antiquarian John Aubrey, may have been used to predict lunar eclipses. By moving markers around this circle, ancient astronomers could track the 18.61-year lunar cycle. To think that a civilization without computers or telescopes could devise such a method is truly staggering. Why did the ancient builders of Stonehenge dedicate so much effort to aligning it with celestial events? While the full answer is lost to time, the prevailing theory is that these alignments had spiritual or ceremonial significance. The movement of the sun and moon were deeply intertwined with the beliefs, rituals, and agricultural practices of ancient peoples. Stonehenge may have served as a sacred space where these elements converged, acting as a bridge between the earth and the heavens. While we've unlocked many of Stonehenge's astronomical secrets, many questions remain. How did a society without modern tools or machinery transport and erect these massive stones? Were there specific rituals or ceremonies performed during celestial events? Did the people believe in celestial or solar deities, and was Stonehenge a temple dedicated to them? Tucked away in the cliffs of Mali, West Africa, the Dogon people have lived for centuries, preserving an oral tradition that possesses a peculiar element which has baffled scholars and stargazers alike. But what if I told you that this isolated tribe holds knowledge about one of the stars in our sky that they shouldn't, by conventional historical accounts, be aware of? Sirius, also known as the Dog Star, is the brightest star in our night sky and can easily be spotted with the naked eye. What's not visible without the aid of powerful telescopes, however, is Sirius B, a white dwarf star that orbits its brighter companion. Astonishingly, the Dogon have described and revered this invisible star, referring to it as Po Tolo for generations, long before modern astronomers had the technology to discover it in the 19th century. The depth of the Dogon's knowledge is truly staggering. They not only identified Sirius B's existence, but also its elliptical orbit, its immense density, and the fact that it takes 50 years to complete its orbit around Sirius. One has to wonder, how did they acquire such detailed and accurate knowledge without any apparent advanced astronomical instruments? The primary source of this intriguing connection between the Dogon and Sirius B comes from anthropologists Marcel Griaule and Germain Dieterlen in the 1930s and 1940s. However, their findings have stirred debates. Some skeptics suggest that the Dogon might have acquired this knowledge from modern visitors before the anthropologists' arrival. Others posit that Griaule and Dieterlen might have influenced the Dogon stories inadvertently. Yet another fascinating theory lies in the realm of ancient alien hypotheses. Some believe that the Dogon could have been visited by extraterrestrial beings who shared this astronomical knowledge. While this theory might seem far-fetched to many, it's an avenue of thought that's exciting to consider. Regardless of the source of their knowledge, the Dogon's reverence for the stars mirrors that of many ancient civilizations. Their oral traditions, dances, and rituals are deeply intertwined with the heavens. The Segui ceremony, a once-in-a-lifetime event for the Dogon, occurs every 60 years, approximating the orbit of Sirius B around its companion star, further solidifying the celestial connection. What if I told you that more than 1,000 years before the invention of the modern computer, the ancient Greeks had designed a device with an intricate system of gears and mechanisms, all to decode the universe's complex dance? Dive deep with me into the mystery of the Antikythera mechanism, an artifact that challenges our very perception of technological progress. The tale begins in 1901 off the coast of the tiny Greek island of Antikythera. Sponge divers navigating the azure Mediterranean depths stumbled upon a shipwreck. Amidst ancient statues and treasures, they discovered a corroded lump of metal with inscriptions and gears. Initially overlooked, this lump would turn out to be one of the most important archaeological finds of the 20th century. The Antikythera mechanism, once cleaned and examined, revealed an intricate assembly of over 30 meshing bronze gears. Upon closer inspection, scientists and historians realized that this was no ordinary artifact. It was, in essence, an ancient analog computer. The device was designed to predict astronomical events, from the phases of the moon to solar and lunar eclipses, and even the Olympic Games dates. The precision and understanding required to create such a mechanism suggest a level of astronomical and engineering knowledge far beyond what was believed to be present in 150 to 100 BCE, the estimated period of its creation. Over the decades, with the aid of X-ray imaging and advanced computational reconstructions, researchers pieced together the puzzle of the mechanism's functionality. It had dials that indicated the position of the sun, the moon, and, astonishingly, possibly the known planets of that time. A rotating black and silver ball showed the moon's phases. Another dial, like a spiral with 223 divisions, matched the Saros cycle, an eclipse prediction system that the Babylonians used and the Greeks might have adopted. The layers of complexity in this mechanism are often likened to a Swiss watch, showing the ancient Greeks' tremendous foresight and expertise in their astronomical and mechanical pursuits. Do you ever wonder how much truth lies beneath the tales of old? Ancient myths and legends filled with gods, heroes, and fantastical beasts often seem too extraordinary to hold any factual basis. Yet there are instances where archaeology, history, and science have unveiled truths hidden within these tales. Yes, some ancient myths have a kernel of reality within their layers of symbolism and metaphor. Today, we are going to delve into 7 fascinating cases where myth intertwines with history, where the lines between fact and fiction blur, and ancient stories reveal their true colors. The city of Troy, famous in Homer's Iliad, was once considered purely fictional, a tale to fascinate listeners and readers. The city was described as grand, filled with mighty warriors and noble kings, and the setting for the legendary Trojan War. The Greek hero Achilles, the Trojan prince Hector, and the beautiful Helen. They were all characters in this drama, but could it be that these characters were not just part of an epic poem, but people who once lived and breathed? In the 19th century, archaeologist Heinrich Schliemann became fascinated with the idea that the Homeric legends had a basis in historical fact. Rather than dismissing the Iliad as mere fiction, Schliemann used it as a map. He followed the detailed descriptions and geographical clues that Homer had left in his text. His obsession brought him to Hisarlik, a site in modern-day Turkey. In Hisarlik, Schliemann began to dig. His excavations revealed a multi-layered city, one that had been built and rebuilt over the centuries. Artifacts dating back to the Bronze Age were found, and the layout of the city matched that described in Homer's epic. The walls of the city, the gates, the placement of buildings, it all pointed to one conclusion. This was the site of the ancient city of Troy. Critics questioned Schliemann's methods and interpretations. They argued that his desire to find Troy may have led him to see what he wanted to see, but subsequent excavations by other archaeologists have supported Schliemann's claim. While it's challenging to prove that the Trojan War, as described by Homer, actually occurred, there's no longer any doubt that a city existed at Hisarlik, a city that fits the description and timeline of Homer's Troy. Let's step into the ancient city of Babylon, one of the most famous cities of the ancient world and home to one of the seven wonders, the Hanging Gardens. This marvel is wrapped in an enigmatic aura, largely because despite numerous historical accounts of its existence, no physical evidence of the gardens has ever been found. But wait, how can something so grand, so monumental, simply vanish without a trace? The Hanging Gardens were said to be an architectural masterpiece, a testament to human ingenuity and a challenge to Mother Nature herself. They were purportedly built by King Nebuchadnezzar II around 600 BC for his wife Amytis, who was homesick for the lush green landscapes of her homeland Media. It's like if you can't go to the mountain, bring the mountain to you. But this mountain was a little more than a mound of earth. This was a spectacular terrace garden filled with exotic plants and trees, adorned with intricate irrigation systems. Historians believe that the gardens were tiered, much like a ziggurat, with each level teeming with a diverse array of flora. The plants were not rooted in the earth directly, but in a roofed area where a complex irrigation system fed water from the Euphrates River. This marvel of engineering, essentially a primitive form of hydroponics, is a testament to the advanced understanding of engineering and horticulture by the Babylonians. The Hanging Gardens must have been a sight to behold. Imagine a city in the desert, its arid beige landscape broken by a towering structure teeming with greenery. A beacon of life and color cascading down in tiers, a spectacle of nature suspended in the air. It was a marvel that, even in the absence of physical evidence, has left an indelible mark on the annals of human civilization. However, recent research has suggested that the Hanging Gardens may not have been located in Babylon at all. Dr. Stephanie Daly, an Assyriologist from the University of Oxford, posits that the gardens were actually located in the Assyrian city of Nineveh. She bases her theory on a retranslation of ancient texts and points out that Babylon was often used in texts to refer generically to any area of Mesopotamia. King Midas, a character from ancient Greek mythology known far and wide for his ability to turn everything he touched into gold, aptly named the Golden Touch. This might sound like a superpower to most, but as the tale unfolds, we learn that it's not all it's cracked up to be. But where does this story come from and how does it stand up to the facts? King Midas was a historical figure, a Phrygian king who reigned in the 8th century BC. The ancient Greeks believed he was the son of Gordeus and Cybele, the goddess of fertility. So far, so historical, right? But here's where it gets a little golden. According to legend, Midas helped the drunken Silenus, a companion of the god Dionysus, back home. In gratitude, Dionysus offered to grant Midas a single wish. Overwhelmed with greed, Midas wished for everything he touched to turn into gold. At first, Midas was overjoyed. The ability to generate infinite wealth with a simple touch seemed like a dream come true. But the dream rapidly turned into a nightmare. When he attempted to eat, his food turned into inedible gold. When he tried to drink, his water transformed into molten gold. Even his beloved daughter, whom he accidentally touched, turned into a golden statue. His blessing was, in fact, a curse. Stricken with despair, he begged Dionysus to remove his golden touch. The god agreed, instructing Midas to wash in the river Pactolus to reverse the enchantment. But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. The river Pactolus, located in what is now modern Turkey, was renowned in ancient times for its rich deposits of gold. Even today, gold dust can be found in its waters. Was this the result of some geological phenomenon? Or could it be that there's some truth to the myth of King Midas after all? What's more, archaeological evidence suggests that the kingdom of Phrygia was known for its wealth and craft in working with gold. The Midas Mound burial site in Gordian, Turkey, named for the legendary king, contained a wealth of golden artifacts when it was excavated in the 1950s. The concept of a cataclysmic flood that wipes out most of life on Earth is a common thread in many ancient cultures, leading us to wonder, could this possibly be grounded in some historical reality? We have the biblical account of Noah's Ark, but there are also similar tales from the ancient Sumerians, Greeks, Hindus, Chinese, and Native Americans, among others. Even in an era before global communication, this story seems to have been replicated in cultures thousands of miles apart. So could these flood myths be more than just stories? In the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known works of literature dating back to ancient Sumeria, we encounter the story of Utnapishtim. Utnapishtim was warned by the god Enki of a coming flood and instructed to build a boat to save himself, his family, and all the animals. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? The parallels between this story and the biblical account of Noah are uncanny. In Greece, we have the myth of Deucalion and Pyrrha, who were the only survivors of a great deluge sent by an angry Zeus. In Hindu mythology, there's the story of Manu, who builds a boat to survive a flood that engulfs the earth. These stories, despite originating from different cultures and time periods, share a remarkable similarity. It's easy to dismiss these tales as coincidental or symbolic, but geological evidence suggests that large-scale flooding did occur in various parts of the world at different times. For instance, around 5600 BC, a catastrophic event known as the Black Sea Deluge may have flooded a vast area of land. Another fascinating theory revolves around the end of the last ice age, around 10,000 BC, when melting ice caps would have caused sea levels to rise significantly, potentially submerging coastal civilizations and giving rise to flood legends. In North America, there's evidence of the Missoula floods, a series of cataclysmic floods that occurred between 15,000 and 13,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age. These floods, caused by the periodic rupturing of ice dams, were of such a scale that they dramatically altered the landscape of parts of Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. So while we can't say for certain that any one of these flood myths is a direct account of these events, the geological evidence does suggest that our ancient ancestors had to deal with catastrophic floods. Their collective memory of these terrifying events may have been passed down through generations, slowly morphing into the flood myths we know today. The idea of a great flood, it seems, may not be entirely mythical after all. It's a fascinating testament to the way humans, across cultures and across time, make sense of the natural world and its sometimes catastrophic events. The ancient city of Helak, often referred to as the real-life Atlantis, is a fascinating tale of an entire city that supposedly disappeared overnight. The city was an important center of the Achaean civilization, predating Athens and holding significant power and influence in the region. It was famed for its sanctuary of Poseidon, the god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses. The story goes that one fateful winter night in 373 BC, the city was obliterated. But this was no ordinary destruction. According to ancient texts, the city sank into a lagoon, disappearing beneath the waves in a single night, following a combination of a powerful earthquake and a subsequent tsunami. The city, its buildings, and its inhabitants were lost beneath the sea, leaving no trace on the surface. The event was so catastrophic that it was said to have inspired the philosopher Plato's account of Atlantis. But was Helike just a myth? For centuries, the story was treated as such, until modern archaeologists decided to investigate. In the late 20th century, a team led by Greek archaeologist Dora Katsonopoulou launched an expedition to find the lost city. After a lengthy search in 2001, they finally found something remarkable: ruins submerged in a lagoon near the village of Rizomelos, including a large building with archaic walls, classical ceramic fragments, and even bronze artifacts, all dated back to when Helike was supposed to have existed. The findings suggested that the city had been struck by a massive earthquake which liquefied the ground, a process known as soil liquefaction. This, coupled with the tsunami that followed, would have swallowed up the city, much as the ancient texts described. Excavations are still ongoing, but every uncovered artifact adds credibility to a story once thought to be a myth. When we think of the Amazons, images of fierce, independent warrior women might spring to mind thanks to Greek mythology. These women were said to have lived apart from men, only interacting with them for procreation. They were described as equals to men in physical agility and courage, legendary for their skills in battle and their ruthlessness. But how much of this was myth and how much was reality? Ancient Greek historians such as Herodotus wrote detailed accounts of the Amazons, but for a long time these stories were treated as just that, stories. The idea of a society of warrior women living in a land beyond the realms of the known world seemed fantastical. But then, archaeology stepped in and offered us a different perspective. In the 1990s, a series of graves were uncovered in the Eurasian steppe, specifically in areas around modern-day Russia and Kazakhstan, which dramatically changed our understanding of the Amazons. The graves contained the remains of women buried with weapons, including arrows and spears, as well as horse-riding gear, equipment that mirrored what was described in the tales of the Amazons. Even more striking was the evidence of battle scars on the bones, including arrowheads lodged in the bodies, indicating that these women were not just buried with weapons for symbolic reasons. They were warriors who had actively participated in combat. These findings suggest that the myth of the Amazons might have been inspired by real warrior women from the Scythian culture, a nomadic group that inhabited these areas. This discovery has had a profound impact on how we interpret the myth of the Amazons. It suggests that the ancient Greeks may have had contacts with these warrior women, either through trade or warfare, and their stories were then woven into the rich tapestry of Greek mythology. We've journeyed from the walls of Troy to the hanging gardens of Babylon, from the touch of King Midas to the shores of the lost city of Helac. We've seen how the myth of the fierce Amazon women held a reality. These instances show us that the boundary between myth and reality is not as rigid as we might think. Indeed, our understanding of the past is an ever-evolving tapestry of fact, interpretation, and storytelling. It reminds us that within every myth, there may lie a grain of truth waiting to be uncovered. Until next time, remember, the world is full of mysteries and our quest for knowledge is never-ending. Today, let's travel back in time all the way to ancient Mesopotamia, to the cradle of civilization. Imagine a world where gods walked among mortals, where epic heroes battled fearsome beasts, and where the quest for immortality was not just a philosophical question but a literal journey. Welcome to the world of Gilgamesh, a legendary figure whose epic story is one of the earliest and most profound narratives in human history. Are you ready to embark on this epic adventure? Now, the Epic of Gilgamesh isn't a singular, cohesive book like we might imagine today. Instead, it's a collection of stories and poems that evolved and changed over time, eventually forming the epic we know today. These tales were inscribed on a series of 12 clay tablets in the Akkadian language, with the most complete version dating to the 7th century BCE from the library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh. Gilgamesh is a fascinating character. Legend has it he was the king of Uruk, a Sumerian city-state located in modern-day Iraq. Now, Uruk was a big deal back in the day. We're talking about one of the world's first major cities, the origin of writing, and a hub of culture and trade in ancient Mesopotamia. But let's get back to Gilgamesh. He was described as being 2/3 god and 1/3 human. This unique lineage gave him superhuman strength and wisdom, making him a formidable leader. However, his divine status didn't shield him from human struggles. In fact, much of the epic revolves around Gilgamesh wrestling with the concept of mortality and the limitations of human existence. Interestingly, even though he was a demigod, Gilgamesh was not a perfect ruler. Ancient texts describe him as a tyrant who imposed his will on his subjects. In fact, his behavior was so oppressive that the gods created Enkidu, a wild man, to challenge him and divert his attention from his subjects. Little did the gods know this decision would change the course of Gilgamesh's life in ways they could not predict. The Epic of Gilgamesh is not just a tale of adventure. It's a journey into the human condition, exploring themes of friendship, grief, the pursuit of immortality, and the acceptance of our mortal nature. Its narrative is grand and its implications profound, offering a window into the human soul and the complexities of life. The bond between Gilgamesh and Enkidu is one of the most compelling aspects of the epic. Remember, Enkidu was created by the gods as a kind of counterbalance to Gilgamesh's tyrannical rule. Originally, Enkidu lived among the animals in the wilderness, uncorrupted by civilization. However, after a series of events, he was introduced to human society and eventually found his way to Uruk, where he challenged Gilgamesh to a wrestling match. This moment marked a turning point in Gilgamesh's life. The match was fierce, and although Gilgamesh won, he recognized in Enkidu a worthy friend and companion. This was the start of an extraordinary friendship, one that changed Gilgamesh and ultimately shaped his destiny. Together, Gilgamesh and Enkidu embarked on a series of heroic adventures, from slaying the monstrous Humbaba who guarded the cedar forest to killing the bull of heaven sent by the goddess Ishtar as a punishment for rejecting her advances. These exploits showcased their courage, strength, and companionship, solidifying their friendship. However, the epic also delves into the profound emotional transformation of Gilgamesh through his relationship with Enkidu. Gilgamesh, who was once an arrogant and self-centered king, began to exhibit empathy, humility, and wisdom. This transition is most apparent when Enkidu falls ill and dies as a consequence of their adventures. Enkidu's death sent Gilgamesh into a profound grief and fear of his own mortality. He set out on a quest to find the secret of immortality, a journey that would lead him to the depths of despair and the heights of enlightenment. Through their friendship, Enkidu not only humanized Gilgamesh but also gave him the impetus to embark on the most significant journey of his life. The friendship between Gilgamesh and Enkidu is a testament to the transformative power of companionship, a theme that still resonates with us today. Enkidu's death was a turning point for Gilgamesh, sparking a fear of his own mortality. This fear was so overwhelming that it led him on an epic journey to discover the secret of eternal life. Now, this wasn't a simple journey. This was a quest that took Gilgamesh to the ends of the earth, confronting monsters, gods, and the depths of his own despair. One of the most memorable parts of this journey is Gilgamesh's encounter with a man who was granted eternal life by the gods. He is often compared to Noah from the Bible, due to the similarities in their stories. Both were warned of a great flood by a god and built a boat to save themselves, their families, and all kinds of animals. Gilgamesh hoped to learn the secret of immortality. However, they informed him that immortality was not meant for humans. He told Gilgamesh a story about a plant that could restore youth. But even after Gilgamesh retrieved it, the plant was stolen by a serpent while he bathed, symbolizing the futility of his quest. Despite his failures, Gilgamesh's search for immortality is an exploration of a universal human fear and desire, the fear of death and the longing for eternal life. His journey reflects our own struggles with mortality and the realization that death is an inevitable part of life. It's a humbling reminder of our human condition and the impermanence of our existence. Gilgamesh's journey eventually led him back to Uruk, where he found a different kind of immortality. Not through divine intervention or magical plants, but through his deeds, his city, and the stories that would be told about him for thousands of years to come. This, perhaps, is the true message of the Epic of Gilgamesh, that our actions, our contributions, and the memories we leave behind are our true immortality. The Epic of Gilgamesh is much more than an adventure story. It's a profound exploration of themes that continue to resonate with us today. The power of friendship, the quest for immortality, the confrontation with mortality, and the human desire to leave a lasting legacy. The friendship between Gilgamesh and Enkidu is central to the narrative, reflecting the power of human connection to shape our lives. Their bond changes Gilgamesh from an arrogant ruler to a compassionate leader, demonstrating how relationships can lead to personal growth and transformation. The theme of mortality is equally prominent. From Enkidu's death to Gilgamesh's quest for immortality, the epic confronts the inevitability of death. It grapples with the human fear of oblivion, our longing for eternal life, and ultimately our acceptance of our mortal condition. The Epic of Gilgamesh also explores the desire to leave a lasting legacy. For Gilgamesh, this comes not in the form of immortality, but through his deeds in the city he built. It's a powerful reminder that our actions, our contributions, and the memories we leave behind are our true legacy. The influence of the Epic of Gilgamesh extends far beyond its time. As one of the oldest known works of literature, it has shaped countless narratives and myths that followed. Its themes have found echoes in biblical stories, Greek mythology, and modern literature, It has inspired operas, novels, and films. Its exploration of friendship, mortality, and legacy continues to resonate with us. While Gilgamesh is often described as a mythical hero, he may have been a real person. Some historians believe that Gilgamesh was a historical king of the city of Uruk, who later became a figure of myth and legend. Records from other ancient civilizations mention a king named Gilgamesh, and archaeological evidence suggests that Uruk was an important city in ancient Mesopotamia. In the epic, Gilgamesh is described as being 2/3 god and 1/3 human. His mother was a goddess, and his father was a mortal king. This divine heritage gives Gilgamesh superhuman strength and physical beauty, but it also sets him apart from other people and leaves him unsatisfied with his mortal life. The Epic of Gilgamesh is essentially a journey of self-discovery. After the death of his friend Enkidu, Gilgamesh embarks on a quest to find the secret of immortality. He travels to the ends of the earth, battles supernatural creatures, and even ventures into the underworld. Although he fails to achieve physical immortality, he gains wisdom and understanding about life, death, and the importance of leaving a lasting legacy. One of the most famous parts of the Epic of Gilgamesh is the story of the Great Flood, which predates the biblical story of Noah's Ark by hundreds of years. In the epic, Gilgamesh meets Utnapishtim, a man who was granted immortality by the gods after he and his wife survived a great flood that wiped out the rest of humanity. This story has led some to speculate about possible connections between the two flood narratives. The Epic of Gilgamesh has had a lasting impact on literature and culture. Its themes of friendship, the quest for immortality, and the struggle with mortality are still relevant today. The epic has inspired countless other works of literature and has been translated into many languages. It continues to be studied and admired for its rich symbolism, complex characters, and exploration of universal human experiences. Early in the epic, Gilgamesh is portrayed as a tyrant. His strength and vigor lead him to oppress the people of Uruk. He sets young men to endless labor, competes with them in sports to the point of exhaustion, and disrupts families. This behavior sets the stage for the creation of Enkidu, initially a wild man, who is civilized and becomes a match for Gilgamesh, serving both as a friend and a balance to his excessive energy. Dreams and their interpretations play a crucial role in the Epic of Gilgamesh. For instance, before meeting Enkidu, Gilgamesh has prophetic dreams that are interpreted by his mother. Later, during their journey to the cedar forest to confront the demon Humbaba, both Gilgamesh and Enkidu experience ominous dreams. These dream sequences highlight the significance of divine intervention and fate in the characters' lives. The Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the earliest known examples of literature. It's written in a poetic form known as epic poetry and is composed of Sumerian verses. The influence of the Epic of Gilgamesh on subsequent literary traditions, especially the Homeric epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, has been noted by many scholars. The theme of a hero's journey, friendship, and quest for immortality are motifs that continue in many forms of literary tradition. For centuries, the Epic of Gilgamesh was forgotten until archaeological excavations in the mid-19th century unearthed the ancient city of Nineveh, including the library of Assyrian king Ashurbanipal. Among the thousands of clay tablets, scholars found the Epic of Gilgamesh. It took decades to decipher, translate, and understand the epic, and it wasn't until the late 20th century that a relatively complete and accurate version of the story was available to the public. The rediscovery of this ancient epic has provided invaluable insights into ancient Mesopotamian culture and literature. And there you have it, the Epic of Gilgamesh, a tale of friendship, a quest for immortality, a confrontation with the inevitable reality of death, and the human desire to leave a lasting legacy. It's a story that has shaped our collective imagination for millennia, and its themes continue to resonate in our own lives. So, next time you ponder your legacy, your mortality, or the power of your relationships, remember the tale of Gilgamesh and his epic journey. It's a testament to the enduring power of stories and the timeless nature of the human condition. What if I told you that beneath your feet, hidden in a forgotten shipwreck or tucked away in an ancient burial mound, could lie treasures worth millions, even billions of dollars? But what really makes them so valuable? Is it the weight of the gold or the history they hold? Let's take an adventurous journey through time and across continents to unearth some of the most staggering treasure finds in history, starting with a mysterious burial mound in England, the Sutton Hoo. Journey with me to Egypt, 1922. Howard Carter, an archaeologist backed by the wealth of Lord Carnarvon, made one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of all time, the virtually undisturbed tomb of the pharaoh Tutankhamun. After years of fruitless digging in the Valley of the Kings, Carter's persistence finally paid off. He discovered a flight of steps that led to a sealed door, and beyond it, a world untouched for over 3,000 years. Inside the tomb were 4 rooms filled with items that offered an invaluable glimpse into the wealth, sophistication, and culture of ancient Egypt. These items, more than 5,000 in total, were meticulously recorded by Carter and his team over the course of 8 years. Among the treasures were chariots, statues, a ceremonial fan, food and wine jars, and personal items of the boy king. The centerpiece was the stone sarcophagus containing 3 nested coffins, the final one made of solid gold. Inside lay the mummy of the young king, adorned with a dazzling funerary mask of gold and lapis lazuli, considered one of the most beautiful artistic creations in the world. This mask alone weighs about 22.6 pounds of solid gold and is one of the most iconic symbols of ancient Egypt. Valuing the treasures of King Tut's tomb is an almost impossible task due to its historical, archaeological, and cultural importance. However, if we were to consider just the raw materials, the price of gold alone for the burial mask would today be around $600,000. But the real value lies far beyond the cost of materials. When the treasures toured in the late 1970s, they were insured for an estimated $36 million. In today's dollars, accounting for inflation, that would be close to $144 million. But the actual value of this window into ancient Egypt is truly immeasurable. It's 1622, Spain. The Nuestra Señora de Atocha, a heavily armed galleon, set sail from Cuba back to Spain, laden with an unimaginable wealth extracted from the New World. The treasure on board included 24 tons of silver bullion, 180,000 silver coins, copper ingots, gold coins, emeralds, and other precious jewels. But fate had other plans for the Atocha. Just a day after setting sail, it was caught in a furious hurricane, sinking it near the Florida Keys and taking its treasure down to the bottom of the sea. Fast forward to the 20th century, enter treasure hunter Mel Fisher. Fisher spent 16 relentless years searching for the Atocha, overcoming hardship, doubt, and the tragic loss of his son and daughter-in-law in the pursuit. His motto was, "Today's the day," a testament to his undying belief that he would find the Atocha. And in July of 1985, Fisher's dream came true. They found the main pile of the Atocha, a mound of silver bars and other artifacts, the heart of the ship's lost cargo. The Atocha treasure find was enormous, the motherlode as Fisher called it. The treasure trove contained 40 tons of gold and silver, 114,000 Spanish silver coins known as pieces of 8, gold coins, Colombian emeralds, golden chains, and hundreds of other artifacts. Today, the salvaged gold and silver alone is worth over $400 million. But the story doesn't end there. Even though the main pile of the Atocha has been found, many of the ship's precious jewels are believed to still be scattered over the ocean floor, lost to the sands of time, waiting for the next Mel Fisher to declare, "Today's the day." Our final destination lies beneath the Atlantic Ocean, a world away from the Silk Road, where the story of the SS Central America unfolds. Also known as the Ship of Gold, the SS Central America was a 280-foot sidewheel steamer that operated between Central America and the eastern coast of the United States during the 1850s. In September 1857, she was caught in a hurricane and sank off the coast of the Carolinas, taking with her a treasure trove that played a pivotal role in the California gold rush. The ship was carrying a hefty cargo of gold prospectors returning from California, laden with their hard-earned nuggets and coins. When the ship sank, it was carrying an estimated 21 tons of gold, a loss that contributed to the Panic of 1857, a financial crisis that shook the United States. Fast forward to the 1980s, when a group led by marine engineer Tommy Thompson used evolving technology and extensive research to locate the shipwreck and recover a portion of its treasure. The treasure that they managed to bring up from the seabed included thousands of gold coins, hundreds of gold ingots, and countless gold nuggets. The exact value of the SS Central America's treasure is difficult to determine, as it depends on the weight, purity, and collector value of the individual pieces. However, the recovered gold was initially insured for $100 million when it was brought up in the late 1980s. Auctions of the treasure have since brought in tens of millions of dollars, and the full value of the recovered gold is thought to exceed $150 million. The majority of the treasure still lies at the bottom of the ocean, its exact worth unknown but undoubtedly colossal. The tale of the SS Central America is a reminder that sometimes the sea keeps the most glittering secrets. Our journey takes us now to Afghanistan in 1978, where a Soviet-Afghan archaeological team unearthed 6 burial mounds in the province of Jauzian, near Shebagan in northern Afghanistan. The site, known as Tilia Tepe or Golden Hill, held an extraordinary discovery: a treasure hoard from an ancient nomadic tribe known as the Bactrians. The tombs contained over 20,000 pieces of jewelry and precious objects dating back to the 1st century BC. Golden bracelets, necklaces, medallions, crowns, belts, and even boot buckles, intricately designed with a mix of Hellenistic, Indian, Chinese, and nomadic influences. The most iconic piece from the hoard is perhaps the collapsible crown of one of the female nobles, adorned with a tree of life motif, showing the sublime craftsmanship of the time. This treasure, commonly referred to as the Bactrian gold, offers a golden window into the life, culture, and the wide-reaching connections of the ancient Silk Road. But what's even more remarkable is the story of its survival. During the turbulent years that followed its discovery, the Bactrian gold was thought lost or stolen. However, it was safely hidden away in a vault in Kabul, only to be rediscovered in 2003. Thereby safeguarding an invaluable part of humanity's shared cultural heritage. So, what is the worth of this magnificent treasure trove? Placing a value on archaeological artifacts is challenging, but expert estimates suggest that the gold alone could be worth over $200 million. However, the historical and cultural significance of the Bactrian gold makes it in many ways truly priceless. Picture the calm countryside of Suffolk, England in 1939. Edith Pretty, a wealthy landowner intrigued by the mysterious earthen mounds on her property, hires self-taught archaeologist Basil Brown to investigate. As Basil digs into the heart of the largest mound, he uncovers an undisturbed ship burial, an incredible rarity of its kind. The burial belonged to a high-ranking individual, likely a king or a noble warrior from the 7th century. The ship measured a staggering 27 meters in length, but its contents were even more awe-inspiring. Buried within were a collection of artifacts with unrivaled craftsmanship and material richness, reflecting the pinnacle of the Anglo-Saxon period's artistic and technical capabilities. Among the items were weapons, including a sword and a shield, both highly ornamental and inlaid with garnets. More than 40 gold items were found, including a gold belt buckle that alone weighs 400 grams. Intricate shoulder clasps adorned with garnets and intricate filigree work, coins from Frankish mints, and a purse filled with gold coins were also discovered. But the most iconic find was undoubtedly the ornately decorated helmet, a symbol of sovereignty and martial prowess, restored from hundreds of fragments into a grand piece of history. Now, estimating the monetary value of the Sutton Hoo treasure is challenging because it's not just about the weight in gold, but also the historical and cultural significance, which is simply incalculable. For comparison, a single artifact from the Staffordshire Hoard, another Anglo-Saxon treasure, was valued at £3.285 million, about $4.3 million in today's terms, in 2009. And the Sutton Hoo finds are even more significant. Though we can't attach a specific dollar amount to the Sutton Hoo treasure, its invaluable insight into the Anglo-Saxon world spirituality, artistry, and power dynamics makes it a priceless treasure of humanity. Stepping away from sunken ships and royal tombs, we find ourselves in the quiet town of Panagurishte, Bulgaria. Here in 1949, 3 brothers were digging clay for bricks when they stumbled upon a remarkable golden artifact, setting in motion a discovery that would shake the archaeological world. The brothers had discovered the Panagurishte treasure, a golden hoard dating back to the 4th to 3rd centuries BC. The treasure consists of 9 vessels, including a filey, 3 wine jugs, and 4 rhytons. Each of these pieces was ornately decorated with scenes from Thracian mythology and custom, revealing the deep and rich cultural tapestry of the Thracian people. One of the most stunning pieces, The amphora raiton is believed to be a ceremonial vessel. Crafted in gold, it is adorned with scenes depicting a Thracian ruler and a procession of servants, warriors, and elders, giving us a glimpse into the courtly life of ancient Thracia. What's most astounding about this find is not just the gold itself, but the exceptional craftsmanship, the exquisite detailing, and the storytelling through art. The weight of the treasure is approximately 6.164 kilograms of 24-karat gold. Considering the cultural and historical value plus the raw gold value, it is estimated that the Panegyriște treasure is worth at least $200 million. But can you really put a price on a discovery that has unlocked so many secrets of a long-lost civilization? For many, the true value of the Panegyriște treasure is not in dollars and cents, but in its priceless contribution to our understanding of the human past. So there we have it, an odyssey through time and space, chasing gold, history, and the human spirit. From Sutton Hoo's ghostly ship to the sunken SS Central America, and from the Golden Pharaoh Tutankhamun's resting place to the Thracians' exquisite golden hoard in Panegyriște, we've uncovered not just treasures but narratives, civilizations and cultures that once flourished. After all, we know the real treasure lies not in gold or gems, but in the knowledge and understanding we gain. Ancient Japan, with its rich history and culture, has fascinated us for centuries. Among the most iconic figures from this time are the samurai, an elite warrior class who lived by a strict code of honor and discipline. Today we're going to explore the unique traditions and lifestyle of the samurai, delving into what it meant to be a samurai in ancient Japan. We'll also take a look at the remarkable engineering and architectural innovations of the time, along with other intriguing aspects of ancient Japanese society. So let's step back in time and immerse ourselves in the world of ancient Japan. Welcome to Life's Biggest Questions. Now let's continue. To delve deeper into the world of the samurai, let's first take a look at the broader historical context of ancient Japan. The Heian period, 794–1185 CE, marked a significant turning point for Japan, with the establishment of the imperial capital in Kyoto, then called Heian-kyo, and the flourishing of the arts and literature. It was also during this time that the samurai emerged as a distinct warrior class, protecting the interests of their noble patrons and playing a crucial role in the power struggles that shaped Japan's political landscape. As Japan moved into the Kamakura, 1185–1333 CE, and Muromachi, 1336–1573 CE periods, the role of the samurai continued to evolve. The establishment of the first shogunate, or military government, in Kamakura marked the beginning of a new era, where the samurai class held significant political power. This shift in power dynamics set the stage for the rise of prominent samurai clans, such as the Taira, Minamoto, and later, the Ashikaga. The samurai's role in society extended far beyond the battlefield. As members of the ruling class, they were expected to be well-versed in poetry, literature, and the arts. The tale of Genji, often regarded as the world's first novel, was written during the Heian period by Lady Murasaki Shikibu and was widely read and appreciated among the samurai class. This emphasis on cultural refinement set the samurai apart from other warrior classes throughout history, illustrating the unique blend of martial prowess and intellectual pursuits that characterized the samurai way of life. In addition to their martial and cultural roles, the samurai also played an essential part in shaping Japan's legal system. The development of the Goseibai Shikimoku, or the Formulary of Adjudications in 1232 during the Kamakura period, was a crucial step in codifying the laws and practices that governed samurai society. This legal code established a set of principles that guided the samurai's conduct both on and off the battlefield, and further reinforced the importance of Bushido in the daily lives of these elite warriors. The world of the samurai was steeped in tradition, with various unique customs and rituals shaping their daily lives. These practices were not only integral to the samurai's personal growth and development, but also served to strengthen the bonds within their communities and reinforce their commitment to the principles of Bushido. One such tradition was the practice of meditation, which allowed samurai to cultivate mental clarity, self-discipline, and emotional resilience. By developing their ability to remain focused and present in the face of adversity, samurai warriors were able to maintain a heightened sense of awareness on the battlefield and make strategic decisions under pressure. In addition to meditation, the samurai also engaged in rigorous physical training, known as keiko, which included martial arts disciplines such as kendo, kyudo, and jujitsu. These practices not only honed the samurai's physical prowess, but also reinforced the spiritual and mental aspects of their training. The concept of mushin, or no mind, was particularly important in these disciplines, as it encouraged the samurai to act instinctively and without hesitation in the heat of battle. Another fascinating samurai tradition was the practice of ikebana, or Japanese flower arrangement. This art form emphasized the harmonious arrangement of flowers, branches, and other natural elements, fostering a deep appreciation for nature and its inherent beauty. For the samurai, the practice of ikebana was more than just a creative outlet. It was a means of cultivating a sense of balance and tranquility, which was essential to their success as warriors. Samurai also had a unique relationship with poetry, particularly the traditional Japanese form known as tanka. Composed of 5 lines with a syllable pattern of 5-7-5-7-7, tanka poetry was a means for samurai to express their thoughts and emotions in a concise and elegant manner. In many cases, samurai would engage in friendly poetry competitions, known as yuta awais, as a way of honing their literary skills and fostering camaraderie among their peers. The practice of yabusame, or horseback archery, was another unique samurai tradition that required great skill, concentration, and discipline. The samurai would train rigorously to develop the ability to shoot accurately while riding at high speeds, demonstrating their mastery of both horsemanship and archery. Yabusame events were often held as ceremonial demonstrations, with samurai showcasing their prowess in front of their lords and fellow warriors. The samurai were renowned for their mastery of various weapons, each with its unique characteristics and uses on the battlefield. While the katana is perhaps the most iconic of these weapons, samurai were also skilled in the use of a range of other arms, which played an essential role in their martial prowess. One such weapon was the yumi, a traditional Japanese longbow, which was a key component of the samurai's arsenal. The yumi was asymmetric, with a lower grip to accommodate shooting from horseback. Archery was considered a highly honorable skill, and samurai trained rigorously to become expert marksmen, able to hit targets with incredible accuracy even at long distances. Another notable weapon was the naginata, a polearm with a curved blade at the end. The naginata was particularly effective in close combat situations, allowing the wielder to strike with considerable force while maintaining a safe distance from their opponent. This weapon was also popular among samurai women, who were trained in its use for self-defense and to protect their homes in times of conflict. Samurai also employed the use of the tanto, a short dagger used primarily for close-quarters combat and in ritual suicide or seppuku. The tanto was often carried alongside the katana, providing the samurai with a versatile secondary weapon when needed. The armor worn by samurai was meticulously crafted to provide maximum protection without sacrificing mobility. The design of this armor evolved over time, reflecting changes in warfare and the specific needs of the samurai class. Early samurai armor, known as yoroi, was characterized by large boxy cuirasses and helmets, adorned with intricate ornamentation. However, as warfare shifted toward more infantry-based combat, the armor design changed to become more flexible and lightweight, resulting in the development of the domaru and later, the tosegusoku. Samurai armor was typically made from a combination of materials including iron, leather, and silk, which were carefully layered and laced together to create a highly effective, protective garment. The helmet, or kabuto, was a particularly important component of the samurai's armor, often featuring elaborate crests and decorations that signified the wearer's rank and family lineage. One striking aspect of samurai armor was its aesthetic appeal. Each piece of armor was carefully crafted and often adorned with intricate designs, reflecting the wearer's personal taste and status. This attention to detail extended even to the smallest components, such as the fittings on the sword scabbard, which were often made from precious metals and featured intricate carvings and inlays. Ancient Japan was home to a wealth of engineering and architectural innovations, which have left a lasting impact on the nation's landscape and cultural identity. These advances not only demonstrated the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the Japanese people, but also played a crucial role in shaping the nation's political, economic, and social development. One of the most iconic architectural achievements of ancient Japan was the construction of castles, which served as the fortified residences of powerful samurai lords. Japanese castle design was heavily influenced by the needs of the samurai class, with a focus on defensive capabilities and adaptability to the nation's varied terrain. Japanese castles were typically built on strategic hilltops, surrounded by a series of concentric walls and moats to provide multiple layers of defense. The central keep, or tenshu, was the heart of the castle, housing the lord's living quarters and serving as a symbol of his authority. Castles were designed to make use of the natural landscape for defense, incorporating elements such as cliffs, rivers, and ravines to create a formidable fortress. One unique feature of Japanese castle design was the use of stone foundations, which supported the wooden structures above. These foundations, known as ishiotoshi, were carefully constructed using large, irregularly shaped stones, which were expertly fitted together without the use of mortar. This technique allowed the foundations to flex and shift during earthquakes, providing greater stability and resilience to these wooden structures. Ancient Japan was also home to a number of impressive religious structures, such as the Todaiji Temple in Nara. This temple, which houses the world's largest bronze statue of the Buddha, was constructed in the 8th century using a unique method of interlocking wooden beams known as kanawatsuge. This technique allowed the massive structure to be built without the use of nails, creating a flexible and earthquake-resistant framework that has stood the test of time. Japanese gardens were another area where engineering and architectural ingenuity were on display. These carefully designed spaces were intended to evoke a sense of tranquility and harmony with nature, often incorporating elements such as ponds, bridges, and carefully placed rocks to create a balanced and visually appealing landscape. The use of shakkei, or borrowed scenery, was a key concept in Japanese garden design, as it allowed the garden to incorporate distant natural features, such as mountains or trees, into the overall composition. The ancient Japanese were also skilled in the construction of wooden bridges, which were essential for traversing the nation's many rivers and streams. One notable example is the Kintai Bridge, which was built in the 17th century and features a series of 5 wooden arches. This unique design allowed the bridge to withstand floods and other natural disasters, while also providing an aesthetically pleasing focal point for the surrounding landscape. One interesting aspect of ancient Japan was the development of its writing system. The Japanese language initially had no written form, but with the introduction of Chinese characters known as kanji in the 4th century, Japan began to develop a unique writing system. Over time, 2 phonetic scripts, hiragana and katakana, emerged, allowing for greater flexibility and expression in written Japanese. This combination of kanji, hiragana, and katakana formed the basis of the Japanese writing system, which is still in use today. The Noh theater is another fascinating aspect of ancient Japanese culture. Noh is a form of classical Japanese drama that combines music, dance, and drama in a highly stylized and ritualized manner. Originating in the 14th century, Noh plays often feature supernatural themes and explore the boundaries between the mortal and spiritual realms. The performances are characterized by their slow, deliberate movements and the use of intricately carved wooden masks, which serve to enhance the actors' expressions and convey deep emotions. In the realm of cuisine, ancient Japan developed a unique culinary tradition that emphasized simplicity, seasonality, and an appreciation for natural flavors. The foundation of Japanese cuisine is based on the principle of ichiju sansai, which translates to 1 soup, 3 dishes. This concept revolves around the idea of a balanced meal, consisting of a soup, a main dish, usually fish or meat, and 2 side dishes accompanied by rice and pickles. This principle is still at the heart of Japanese cuisine today, emphasizing harmony and balance in both flavor and presentation. Today we are journeying back in time to a civilization that has left a mark on our world, but whose true complexity is often overlooked, the Byzantine Empire. Positioned at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, the Byzantine Empire was a beacon of power, culture, and innovation for over 1,000 years. This was an empire that stood the test of time, outliving the Western Roman Empire by a millennium and bridging the gap between the ancient and medieval worlds. But what made the Byzantine Empire so good? What were its defining features and innovations? And how did it shape the world as we know it? Stick around and let's explore a little, shall we? The Byzantine Empire, known at the time as the Eastern Roman Empire, was essentially Rome's eastern continuation after the fall of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century. But why did it survive, while its Western counterpart crumbled? The answer, as it turns out, lies as much in geography as it does in strategy. The capital, Constantinople, now known as Istanbul, was a city ripe with advantages, built by Emperor Constantine in 330 CE on the site of the ancient city of Byzantium, hence the name Byzantine. It was situated at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. This strategic location on the Bosporus Strait allowed it to control the key trading routes linking the East and the West. Imagine having a doorway that leads to two different worlds, and you're the one holding the key. But it wasn't just about geography. The empire's success lay in its ability to adapt and evolve. As the Western Roman Empire fell into decay, the Eastern Empire, the Byzantine, embraced a more flexible administrative system. It had a more stable economy, supported by a complex system of taxation and a thriving trade network, both land-based and maritime. Moreover, the Byzantine Empire was more defensible. The city of Constantinople was surrounded by water on 3 sides, and its landward side was protected by massive walls, known as the Theodosian walls. These walls were one of the most complex fortification systems ever created, and they kept the city safe from numerous sieges for hundreds of years. So you see, the Byzantine Empire's survival was not a product of luck or chance. It was a result of strategic location, robust trade, flexible governance, and formidable defenses, elements that helped it navigate the turbulent waters of history for more than 1,000 years. The Byzantine Empire has left us with a rich architectural legacy, a testament to their advanced engineering skills and artistic flair. Their architectural style was unique, blending elements of Roman, Greek, and Eastern designs into a distinctive Byzantine aesthetic. But it was more than just an amalgamation of styles. It was a creative fusion, something new and entirely their own. Perhaps the most iconic symbol of Byzantine architecture is the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, originally constructed in the 6th century during the reign of Emperor Justinian. It was an architectural marvel of its time, and it continues to amaze us today. Let's take a closer look. The Hagia Sophia, or Holy Wisdom, was the 3rd church to occupy that site, the previous 2 having been destroyed in riots. But this was not just another church. It was designed to be the most magnificent church in the Christian world, a symbol of Byzantine power and piety. Its architects, Anthemius of Tralles and Isidore of Miletus, were not simply builders. They were physicists, mathematicians, and engineers. The building's crowning glory is its massive dome, spanning over 31 meters in diameter and perched some 56 meters high. This was an engineering feat unparalleled in its time. The dome seems to float, thanks to the ingenious design that distributes the weight of the dome down into the building's solid piers through a system of pendentives and semi-domes. The interior is bathed in natural light filtering through the 40-arch windows around the dome's base, creating an ethereal effect that was said to symbolize the divine. Another architectural gem is the Basilica of San Vitale in Ravenna, Italy. Built in the 6th century, it's known for its stunning mosaics depicting various biblical scenes and figures, including Emperor Justinian and Empress Theodora. These mosaics are not just decoration, they're storytelling in glass and stone, reflecting the Byzantine belief in the interconnection of church, empire, and heaven. The Byzantines also excelled in fortification architecture, as seen in the walls of Constantinople, which successfully defended the city for centuries. These walls were a complex system of inner and outer walls, moats and towers, demonstrating the Byzantines' deep understanding of defensive strategy. So, when we speak of Byzantine architecture, we are talking about structures that were not only aesthetically striking, but also technically innovative and symbolically charged. They were built to inspire awe, to convey power and faith, and to stand the test of time. And stand they have, as enduring monuments to a civilization that fused art, science, and spirit in stone and mortar. If we gaze back into history, we find that many of the works of ancient scholars would have been lost to time if not for the Byzantine Empire. But how did the Byzantines, situated in a world of constant change and upheaval, manage to preserve these invaluable texts? The Byzantine Empire was the heir to the Hellenistic world. Greek was the language of the empire, and so they were the direct inheritors of the rich tradition of Greek literature, philosophy, and science. And yet this alone doesn't explain their dedication to preserving these texts. The Byzantines had a deep reverence for the ancient Greek scholars. They saw themselves as the guardians of this knowledge, with a cultural and almost sacred duty to protect and preserve these texts for future generations. This reverence was reflected in their educational system, which placed a heavy emphasis on the study of ancient Greek texts, including Homer, Aristotle, and Plato. Byzantine scholars painstakingly copied these ancient works by hand. They created beautifully crafted manuscripts, often embellishing them with intricate illustrations and ornate decorations. These manuscripts were stored in monastic libraries and other repositories across the empire, some of which survived the empire's fall in 1453 and are still standing today. But the Byzantines did more than just copy these texts. They also studied and commented on them, producing a rich body of scholarship that further enriched the original works. They explored the philosophical implications of Plato, the scientific theories of Aristotle, the medical observations of Hippocrates, and more. Furthermore, the preservation of classical texts wasn't limited to Greek works. Byzantine scholars also translated and preserved works from other cultures. For instance, they translated many works of ancient Persian literature into Greek, thereby saving them from oblivion. But perhaps the most consequential act of preservation was their transmission of these texts to the Arab world. During the Middle Ages, while much of Western Europe was in the so-called Dark Ages, the Arab world was experiencing a cultural and intellectual renaissance. Byzantine scholars played a key role in this renaissance by transmitting the works of ancient Greek scholars to the Arab world, where they were translated into Arabic and studied intensively. As we've journeyed through the Byzantine Empire's vibrant history, we've seen its strength, its wisdom, and its cultural richness. But like all empires, it wasn't immune to the passage of time and the shifts of power that shape our world. So, what led to its downfall? The fall of the Byzantine Empire was not a sudden overnight event. Instead, it was a gradual process that occurred over several centuries, marked by both internal strife and external pressures. Internally, the empire was often plagued by political instability and succession crises. The Byzantine throne was not always inherited. It was often seized by force, leading to periods of chaos and infighting. This instability was further compounded by religious disputes, such as the iconoclasm controversy we discussed earlier, which caused deep divisions within Byzantine society. Additionally, the empire's economy began to falter. High taxation, constant warfare, and the loss of trade routes gradually drained the empire's wealth. This economic decline weakened the empire's ability to maintain its military defenses and infrastructure. Externally, the empire faced numerous threats. To the east, the rise of Islam in the 7th century resulted in the loss of key eastern provinces, such as Syria and Egypt. These territories were not only economically vital, but also culturally significant, and their loss was a major blow to the empire. Then, from the 11th century onward, the Seljuk Turks began to encroach on Byzantine territory. The empire called for aid from Western Europe, leading to the Crusades, which, while initially helpful, would eventually cause more harm than good. The Fourth Crusade in particular was disastrous, with the Crusaders sacking Constantinople in 1204 and establishing a short-lived Latin empire in its place. The empire would recover and re-establish itself, but the damage was done. The final blow came in the form of the Ottoman Turks. In 1453, after a lengthy siege, they captured Constantinople, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire. The city, renamed Istanbul, would become the capital of the Ottoman Empire. If we dive into the military aspect of the Byzantine Empire, we discover fascinating innovations and strategies that played a crucial role in its survival and dominance. The Byzantines, after all, didn't merely inherit the military traditions of Rome, they adapted and evolved them to suit their unique circumstances. One of the most iconic elements of Byzantine warfare was the theme system. This was a form of military and administrative organization that was instituted during the 7th century, as a response to the threats posed by the Arabs and the Persians. The empire was divided into several themes, or provinces, each overseen by a military governor. These governors would recruit soldiers from the local population, who were granted land in return for military service. This ensured that the empire had a steady supply of troops, and that these troops had a vested interest in defending their land. This system was not only innovative but also remarkably effective, enabling the Byzantine Empire to defend its vast territories for centuries. In terms of weaponry, the Byzantines were famous for their use of Greek fire. This incendiary weapon was a closely guarded state secret, and its composition remains a mystery to this day. Greek fire, deployed from tubes or siphons, could continue burning even on water, making it a devastating weapon during naval battles. It was instrumental in several key victories, including the defense of Constantinople from Arab sieges. Byzantine military manuals, such as the Tactica of Emperor Leo VI, also demonstrate the empire's advanced understanding of warfare. These manuals provided detailed instructions on tactics, formations, siege warfare, and even the use of various weapons. They indicate a level of strategic sophistication that was quite remarkable for the time. Finally, it's worth mentioning the Varangian Guard. This was an elite unit of the Byzantine army, composed primarily of Norsemen and later Anglo-Saxons. The Varangian Guard served as the emperor's personal bodyguards and were renowned for their loyalty and their ferocity in battle. In conclusion, the military innovations of the Byzantine Empire were essential to its longevity and power. From the theme system to Greek fire, from comprehensive military manuals to the Varangian Guard, these advancements showcase the Byzantine Empire's adaptability and ingenuity in the face of evolving threats and challenges. They remind us that in the grand chess game of history, innovation can often make the difference between survival and extinction. Let's get lost in the labyrinthine lore of Atlantis, the crown jewel of lost civilizations. But what is Atlantis? Well, it's not just a highly speculated location on a map or a dreamy concept of a utopian society. It's a complex myth, a symbol of mysteries that we yearn to solve. The first seeds of this grand narrative were sown in the works of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Around 360 BC, he wove the tale of a super-civilization, Atlantis, in two of his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. His Atlantis was an island nation of grandeur and majesty, situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which we know today as the Strait of Gibraltar. According to Plato, Atlantis was a powerful and advanced civilization known for its engineering marvels and wealth. Its capital was characterized by concentric rings of water and land, each ring filled with bustling ports, grand temples and luxurious palaces. The center was supposedly occupied by a royal palace, enveloped by a golden wall. But here's the kicker. Plato described Atlantis as a landmass larger than Asia and Libya combined. To our modern comprehension, that's essentially an entire continent. A grand claim indeed, considering we're discussing a civilization that supposedly existed around 9,000 years before Plato's own time. Yet despite its supposed might and wisdom, Atlantis met a catastrophic end. In a single day and night of misfortune, the island nation sunk beneath the sea, disappearing without a trace. From being a marvel of the ancient world, Atlantis descended into the abyss of the Atlantic, fading into myth and mystery. So there you have it, the Platonic image of Atlantis, a technologically advanced society, a perfect utopia that fell from grace, swallowed by the sea. Whether it existed or not, the tale of Atlantis has captivated the human imagination for millennia, propelling countless explorations and investigations. But what if our understanding of Atlantis has been wrong all along? Could it be that the true location of Atlantis is not beneath the waves, but somewhere completely unexpected? Let's dig deeper. The chronicles of history are bursting with hypotheses about the possible location of Atlantis. Indeed, it seems the quest for the lost civilization has tempted scholars and explorers for centuries, from the edges of the Mediterranean Sea to the distant islands of the Atlantic. The most straightforward interpretation of Plato's account is that Atlantis was indeed beyond the Pillars of Hercules and thus in the Atlantic Ocean. This interpretation was widely favored during the Renaissance, with maps from the era even including an island of Atlantis amidst the uncharted waters of the Atlantic. In the 1880s, Ignatius Donnelly, an American politician and writer, stirred the imagination of millions with his book, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World. He proposed that Atlantis was the mother civilization from which all known ancient cultures sprang. He drew connections between various cultural and linguistic similarities across the world to reinforce his theory. But the Mediterranean wasn't overlooked either. In the early 20th century, K.T. Frost and Spiridon Marinatos suggested that the tale of Atlantis was a memory of the Minoan civilization on the island of Crete and Thera. This civilization had indeed been advanced for its time and was destroyed suddenly, likely due to a massive volcanic eruption around 1600 BC. Even the Americas weren't spared the speculation. Some early scholars thought that the discovery of the New World by Columbus was actually the rediscovery of Plato's Atlantis. The Mayan and Aztec civilizations with their pyramids and writings bore, in their eyes, uncanny resemblances to the Egyptian civilization. The theory of the Bimini Road, a submerged rock formation near the Bahamas, being a part of Atlantis also gained popularity in the mid-20th century. Yet, despite the multitude of theories, none have provided conclusive proof. The tantalizing tale of Atlantis, it seemed, slipped through the fingers of historical fact, spiraling into the realm of conspiracy and myth. But as the sands of time shifted, so too did the perspective of Atlantis. Could the shifting sands of a desert reveal the truths of a civilization lost to the sea? Let's unravel this theory. Could the towering dunes and desolate expanse of the desert hold the keys to unlocking the mystery of Atlantis? This might seem like a far-fetched hypothesis. After all, when we think of Atlantis, we typically envision a city submerged beneath the waves, not buried under sand. But bear with me as we delve into this peculiar possibility. First, let's cast our minds back to the Sahara Desert during the Holocene epoch around 11,000 to 5,000 years ago. Known as the Green Sahara, or the African Humid Period, the Sahara was once an expansive, fertile land filled with lakes, rivers, and teeming wildlife. Picture thriving civilizations prospering in this lush landscape. A significant point of interest in this theory is the Rishat structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, located in Mauritania. This striking circular formation etched into the desert floor, visible even from space, bears an uncanny resemblance to Plato's detailed description of the Atlantean capital, complete with concentric circles of water and land. Could this natural wonder be a geological ghost, the skeletal remains of the long-lost Atlantis? If we align this theory with Plato's chronology, the timelines seem to match. Plato claimed that Atlantis vanished around 9,000 years before his time, which would place it at the end of the last ice age, a period of dramatic global climate change that could have transformed a once green and fertile Sahara into the desert we know today. This hypothesis suggests that Atlantis was not swallowed by the sea, but rather succumbed to an equally powerful force, desertification. Yet, despite the intriguing connections, skeptics argue that the Rishat structure lacks any tangible archaeological evidence of a past civilization. No signs of human-made structures or artifacts have been discovered there, though some proponents of this theory argue that such evidence might still lie buried under layers of sand, waiting to be unearthed. This Atlantis in the desert theory, though controversial, is a captivating twist to the age-old Atlantis mystery, emphasizing our ever-evolving understanding of Earth's past landscapes and our enduring fascination with lost civilizations. The idea of Atlantis has captivated the minds of many throughout the centuries. Its mystery has sparked countless expeditions and investigations, but concrete evidence, particularly archaeological proof, has been elusive. This lack of physical evidence has led many scientists and scholars to view Atlantis as a myth, a philosophical parable written by Plato, and not a factual account of a lost civilization. Supporters of the existence of Atlantis often point to Plato's writings as the main source of evidence. Plato, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, presents Atlantis as a powerful and advanced civilization that existed 9,000 years before his own time. His detailed descriptions of the island's layout, complete with concentric circles of land and water, have been interpreted as a blueprint of a real place. However, critics argue that Plato's descriptions are too fantastical to be real. They note that Plato was a philosopher who often used allegories to convey ideas about morality and human behavior. Some scholars suggest that Atlantis was merely a literary device, a utopia gone astray created to illustrate his philosophical theories. Adding to the controversy is the varied interpretations of where Atlantis could be. Theories range from locations in the Mediterranean, like Crete and Santorini, to more exotic locations such as the Caribbean, Antarctica, and even the Sahara Desert. Each theory is usually backed by some intriguing correlations, but none have produced definitive archaeological proof linking them to the advanced civilization described by Plato. Some Atlantis believers suggest that the reason we haven't found Atlantis is that it was so completely destroyed and submerged that all traces have been wiped away. They point to the many underwater structures and anomalies discovered worldwide as potential evidence of submerged ancient civilizations. Skeptics, on the other hand, argue that most of these underwater formations can be explained by natural geological processes. Today, our understanding of Atlantis is colored with a blend of skepticism and fascination. Plato's account, the sole historical document we have of Atlantis, is seen by most historians and archaeologists as allegorical rather than historical truth. For these scholars, Atlantis serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of hubris and the fall of a once powerful civilization, perhaps a reflection of Athens' own downfall in the Peloponnesian War. However, the search for a historical basis for Atlantis has not been completely abandoned. A compelling hypothesis, known as the Black Sea Flood theory, proposes that a massive flood in the area around 5600 BC might have given rise to the stories of a lost civilization. The Rishat structure, or the Eye of the Sahara in Mauritania, is another tantalizing candidate. With its concentric rings, this natural geologic formation closely resembles Plato's descriptions of Atlantis' capital city. Some researchers speculate that this could be the remains of Atlantis, now hidden in plain sight in the desert. However, it's worth noting that the Sahara was not always a desert. The Green Sahara period, or the African Humid period, occurred around 11,000 to 5,000 years ago. This period saw the Sahara as a vast savanna, rich in fauna and flora, with a network of lakes, rivers, and even a sea that would be known today as the Chad Sea. Could it be possible that Atlantis was an advanced civilization flourishing in this fertile landscape, only to be swallowed by the desert as the climate changed? But Atlantis could also be hidden beneath another kind of sand, sediment at the bottom of the sea. Recently, submerged structures found near the coast of Cuba have ignited the imagination of some researchers. These structures, lying about 2,000 feet below the surface of the water, appear to be geometrically organized, a pattern typically associated with human-built structures. While these modern understandings and discoveries certainly add layers to the Atlantis narrative, they also raise more questions. As the relentless quest for answers continues, the shrouded city of Atlantis remains an elusive and captivating mystery of our ancient past. As we move into the future, the mystery of Atlantis continues to both enthrall and challenge us. With advances in technology, particularly in the fields of archaeology and oceanography, the prospect of discovering evidence of such an ancient civilization seems increasingly within reach, if it indeed existed. Underwater archaeology has seen major advancements in recent years, with new technologies such as remote-operated vehicles, ROVs, and advanced sonar systems allowing us to explore the ocean floor like never before. This has opened up the possibility of discovering submerged cities and settlements that could shed light on ancient civilizations. Despite the skepticism surrounding the existence of Atlantis, the potential for new discoveries keeps the hunt alive. In the realm of land exploration, satellite imagery and remote sensing technologies like LiDAR, light detection and ranging, are revolutionizing the field. These tools are providing unprecedented insights into the Earth's surface, revealing hidden structures and cities buried by time and natural processes. The theory of Atlantis being located in the Sahara Desert, for instance, could be investigated using such technologies. In terms of theoretical exploration, the development and application of sophisticated computational models could provide valuable insights into the past. By simulating climate patterns, ocean currents, and seismic activity over thousands of years, we may better understand the conditions that could lead to the rise and fall of a civilization like Atlantis. There's also the role of multidisciplinary studies. Historians, archaeologists, geologists, climate scientists, and many others could offer valuable perspectives and insights, enriching the search. The diverse fields involved highlight the complexity of the Atlantis mystery and the potential to make a breakthrough with an interdisciplinary approach. However, the future of the search isn't merely about finding Atlantis. it's also about the quest for knowledge and understanding, our shared human past. Regardless of whether Atlantis was real or myth, the study of ancient civilizations can provide us with valuable lessons about societal development, technological advancements, environmental management, and the resilience and adaptability of human societies. Even if the city of Atlantis remains lost to us, the search for it will undoubtedly yield new discoveries and knowledge that can expand our understanding of the ancient world and ourselves. So, in a way, the future of the search for Atlantis is as much about the journey as it is about the destination. Have you ever wondered about the mysteries surrounding the ancient Inca civilization and its astonishing achievements? The Incas, who ruled over one of the largest empires in the Americas, were renowned for their advanced technology, impressive architecture, and intricate social structure. In today's exploration, we will delve into the fascinating world of the Incas, examine theories about possible alien or Anunnaki influences, and uncover connections between their majestic structures and the pyramids of Egypt. So strap in and let's embark on a journey back in time to discover the secrets of the Inca Empire. The Inca Empire, also known as Tawantinsuyu, was the largest empire in pre-Columbian America, spanning a vast territory along the Andes mountain range from modern-day Colombia to Chile. The Incas trace their origins back to the mythical founders, Manco Capac and Mama Oclo, who emerged from the sacred lake Titicaca as commanded by the sun god Inti. Legend has it that Inti sent his children to establish a new civilization and teach the people how to live in harmony with the land. The city of Cusco, which means navel of the world in the Quechua language, was established as the capital of the empire, and it's from here that the Incas embarked on their remarkable journey of expansion and innovation. The Inca civilization arose in the early 13th century, but it wasn't until the reign of Pachacuti in the mid-15th century that the empire began to expand rapidly. Pachacuti is credited with transforming the small city-state of Cusco into a mighty empire through a combination of diplomacy, military conquest, and strategic alliances. The Incas had a unique system of governance, with the ruler known as the Sapa Inca considered to be a divine figure, the son of the sun god Inti. The Inca society was highly stratified, with a strict hierarchy of nobles, commoners, and an extensive bureaucracy. The empire was divided into 4 provinces, each governed by a high-ranking official known as an Apu. As the empire expanded, the Incas assimilated various cultures and people into their own, often incorporating their religious beliefs, customs, and even architectural styles. The Incas were master builders and engineers, leaving behind a legacy of architectural marvels that continue to captivate us today. Let's delve deeper into some of the key aspects of their technology and engineering prowess. Stonework. The Incas' extraordinary masonry techniques allowed them to construct massive stone structures without the use of mortar. Their precision is so impressive that even a knife blade cannot fit between the stones. This dry stone technique provided excellent stability and durability, as well as seismic resistance, which was vital in the earthquake-prone region of the Andes. The Incas ingeniously adapted to the mountainous terrain by developing agricultural terraces known as andenes. These terraces not only increased the arable land available for farming, but also minimized erosion and facilitated irrigation. They built retaining walls and filled them with layers of soil and gravel, which provided excellent drainage and prevented waterlogging. This enabled them to grow crops like potatoes, quinoa, and maize at altitudes that would otherwise have been unsuitable for agriculture. The Incas developed an extensive road system known as the Capac Ñan, which stretched for over 25,000 miles throughout the empire. This network of roads facilitated trade, communication, and military movement. They built suspension bridges made of woven grass, which allowed them to cross the many rivers and ravines throughout their territory. These bridges were so innovative that some of them are still in use today. The Incas excelled in hydraulic engineering, harnessing the power of water for both agricultural and domestic use. They constructed intricate systems of canals, aqueducts, and reservoirs to transport water from mountain springs to their cities, fields, and terraced farms. Their knowledge of hydraulics allowed them to create fountains and even plumbing systems within their palaces, providing their inhabitants with fresh water and sanitation. The Incas were skilled astronomers and used their knowledge of celestial events to plan their cities and sacred sites. Many of their structures, such as the Temple of the Sun in Cusco, were aligned with the solstices and equinoxes, allowing them to function as astronomical observatories. This precise orientation also served a religious purpose, as the Incas believed that their deities were closely connected to celestial events. The advanced knowledge and achievements of the Incas have led some to speculate about possible extraterrestrial or Anunnaki influences on their civilization. Here are some reasons why we can speculate this. The Incas' intricate understanding of astronomy, agriculture, and engineering has fueled speculation that they may have acquired their knowledge from otherworldly sources. Some suggest that extraterrestrial beings, or the Anunnaki, a group of deities from Sumerian mythology, might have shared their advanced technologies with the Incas, enabling them to achieve their remarkable feats. Certain artifacts and structures found in the Inca Empire have raised questions about their origins. For example, the 12-angled stone in Cusco, with its perfectly interlocking edges, has been cited as evidence of advanced machining techniques that were beyond the capabilities of the Incas. Similarly, the megalithic site of Sacsayhuaman, with its colossal stones weighing up to 200 tons, has left some wondering how the Incas managed to transport and fit these massive blocks so precisely without modern equipment. Some proponents of the ancient astronaut theory, which posits that extraterrestrials visited Earth in the distant past and influenced human civilizations, argue that the Incas' advanced knowledge and abilities can be attributed to contact with beings from other planets. They point to similarities between the Inca civilization and other ancient cultures around the world, such as the Egyptians and the Sumerians, suggesting that a common extraterrestrial influence might be responsible for their parallel advancements. Inca mythology and religious beliefs also provide some fodder for those seeking connections to extraterrestrials or the Anunnaki. The Incas believed in a pantheon of gods, many of whom were associated with celestial bodies and natural phenomena. The legend of their founders, Manco Capac and Mama Oclo, emerging from Lake Titicaca at the behest of the sun god Inti, can be interpreted as a metaphor for beings descending from the sky or arriving from another world. Although separated by vast distances and distinct cultures, the Incas and ancient Egyptians both managed to achieve remarkable feats of engineering and artistry, which have led some to draw comparisons and look for connections between these two civilizations. Let's explore some of the intriguing similarities and potential links between the Incas and the Egyptians, as well as their connections to other ancient civilizations. The Incas and the Egyptians are both renowned for their monumental architecture, with the Incas constructing impressive structures like Machu Picchu and Sacsayhuaman, and the Egyptians building the iconic pyramids and temples. Both civilizations mastered the art of moving and placing enormous stone blocks with great precision, despite the lack of modern tools and machinery. The similarities in their building techniques have sparked curiosity about potential connections or shared knowledge between these two distant civilizations. Both the Incas and the Egyptians demonstrated an advanced understanding of astronomy, which they incorporated into their architecture and religious practices. As mentioned earlier, many Inca structures, such as the Temple of the Sun in Cusco, were aligned with the solstices and equinoxes. Similarly, the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt is precisely aligned with the cardinal directions, and its layout is believed to be astronomically significant, representing the stars in the constellation Orion. These astronomical alignments have fueled speculation about a shared source of knowledge or influence. Despite the vast geographical distance between the Inca and Egyptian civilizations, there are some intriguing cultural similarities between the two. Both societies were highly stratified, with a divine ruler at the top of the social hierarchy, and they both practiced elaborate rituals and ceremonies to honor their gods. These similarities have led some to theorize that a common origin or influence might explain the parallels between the two civilizations. While there is no concrete evidence to support direct contact between the Incas and the Egyptians, some researchers have proposed that indirect contact or cultural exchange might have occurred through intermediary civilizations. This could have facilitated the sharing of ideas, technologies, and artistic styles, leading to the development of similar architectural techniques and cultural practices. As mentioned in the previous segment, some proponents of ancient astronaut theories or Anunnaki influences have pointed to the similarities between the Inca and Egyptian civilizations as evidence of extraterrestrial intervention. They argue that beings from other planets may have visited both cultures and shared their advanced knowledge, leading to the parallel advancements seen in these ancient societies. The Inca Empire, despite its remarkable accomplishments and vast territory, ultimately met its downfall in the 16th century. A combination of factors contributed to the collapse of this once mighty civilization, which we will examine in greater detail. The arrival of Spanish conquistadors in the early 16th century marked the beginning of the end for the Inca Empire. Led by Francisco Pizarro, the Spanish were driven by a desire for wealth and power, as well as a mission to spread Christianity. In 1532, the conquistadors captured the Inca ruler Atahualpa and held him for ransom. Despite the Incas paying an enormous amount of gold and silver, the Spanish executed Atahualpa and proceeded to conquer the remaining Inca territories. Prior to the arrival of the Spanish, the Inca Empire was already weakened by a civil war between two brothers, Atahualpa and Huáscar, who were vying for the throne after the death of their father, Emperor Huayna Cápac. The infighting fractured the empire and left it vulnerable to external threats, ultimately making it easier for the Spanish to establish control. European diseases such as smallpox, measles, and influenza were introduced to the Americas by the Spanish and other European explorers. These diseases spread rapidly among the indigenous populations, including the Incas, who had no immunity to these unfamiliar illnesses. It is estimated that between 50% to 90% of the native population perished due to these epidemics, significantly weakening the Inca Empire and its ability to resist the Spanish conquest. The Spanish conquistadors were equipped with advanced weaponry such as steel swords, firearms, and cannons, which gave them a significant advantage over the Inca warriors armed with stone and wooden weapons. Additionally, the Spanish cavalry, mounted on horses, provided a formidable force that the Incas had never encountered before. The combination of superior weapons and horses allowed the Spanish to overwhelm the Inca forces and gain control over their territories. The Spanish also exploited existing rivalries and discontent among the various indigenous groups within the Inca Empire. Many of these groups, seeking to break free from Inca rule, allied themselves with the Spanish, providing valuable assistance in their conquest. These alliances further weakened the Inca resistance and accelerated the empire's collapse. The downfall of the Inca Empire was the result of a combination of internal strife, foreign invasion, and devastating disease. Within a few decades, the once powerful civilization was dismantled and its people subjugated under Spanish rule. However, the legacy of the Inca Empire continues to endure through its impressive architectural achievements, cultural traditions, and influence on modern-day South America. I hope you enjoyed our video today. Stay tuned for more interesting developments, and as always, thanks for watching. Let us know any ideas for future videos down below.